color running through your veins, and I can't breathe, and everything you do is bad. Love me.
Sorry, Pete, we're bullying you a bit there.
Oh, I can't see the color running through your veins, and I can't breathe, and everything you do is bad. Oh, I can't see the color running through your veins, and I can't breathe, and everything you do is bad. Love me. Stop the time, 'cause I wanna freeze this moment, make it mine, hold you close, now my heart's wide open, when I'm with you suddenly I feel no pain, do you make it go away, do you make it stop the time, 'cause I wanna freeze this moment, make it mine, hold you close, now my heart's wide open, when I'm with you suddenly I feel no pain, do you make it go away, do you make it do you make it go away?
Opportunistic, still such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it. Good evening, everybody. Good evening indeed. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to the third special event in conjunction with Sim Racing Magazine. I know the logo says Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge there. Trust me, I've changed that a million times today and it's still not changed. But we are here for the third special event we have organised together, sponsored by Porsche Centre Chester as well. A big thank you to Porsche Centre Chester and Carl Hazelton, the legend that is, for sponsoring this event. We are here to rock around the clock, or at least a bit of it, in the event titled Rock Around a Bit of the Clock at Lime Rock. So the circuit itself, very simple, classic layout here at Lime Rock. We're not using the chicanes or anything, and the cars are simply Porsche GT3 cars, the 911 991 GT3R, and the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4 Club Sport, wonderful little GT4 race car. And we have two separate classes. We will also have two drivers per car as well tonight in a 2-hour endurance race with a mandatory driver change. Another hint that the event title gives away is that we're going quite a long way around the clock here. 16 hours of racing effectively, because the night or day-night cycle is accelerated by 8 times here. So while the race itself is only 2 hours long, we are going to be covering 16 hours of the day. So we will go plunging into darkness very early on in the race, and then we will not see it again until at least the 1 hour mark. So it's going to be fantastic entertainment, I'm sure, with this accelerated day-night cycle. Drivers are just going out for qualifying now, then getting their first times on the board. And we have a number of relative duos, I should say, father and son teams, and of course other siblings as well. We have the James Cummings and Angus Cummings lineup racing for Backwoods Racing. This here is Russell Clark racing with Stuart Clark in Rusty's Roasts Racing, and they're in the GT4 category. As you see on the top and on the left hand side of your screen, the GT4 cars will be highlighted with a little white strip. We don't have a set decal layer or anything for this evening. Just going to give the paints a little bit of a reload. But we have black strips on the left hand side for GT3s and white for GT4s. You'll also see it here as well on the track map. Black shows you the GT3s, white shows you GT4s. So drivers are just out in qualifying right now. It is currently Paul Stewart Walton that is fastest in the GT3s. Now watch this. You didn't really see it much there, but the GT3 Porsches are actually losing the front end off the ground up there. And oh, Paul's lost the back end as he's gone through the right hand near the end of the lap. And oh, he's clouted the wall very hard indeed there. Ben Gregory, the car that's just gone past him, the 113 machine. Let's go on board and listen to the gorgeous noise of the boosted Sim Sport machine. Two boosted cars out there tonight. Ben's just got it a little bit locked up going into turn 1. We've got the boosted Sim Sport machine in GT3, as well as John Roberts and John Tusting teaming up in the boosted Motorsport GT3 car. We also have a very popular team amongst us tonight as well, which is going to be Peter Mackay and Ryan Parkins. There's that front end coming off the ground. It's absolutely unbelievable, isn't it? That's going to be happening all race long, and drivers have to cope with that. That's just how much downforce there is on the back of this Porsche. But Peter Mackay and double Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Series champion Ryan Parkins will be sharing a car as well. A team called Flying Gizzard in number 45 with the correct number. It's good to have Christian Zaruta on the track with us again tonight as well. Night and Day Racing. He's teamed up with Stephen Kershaw for this event, and the team name comes from the fact that Stephen described the two of them as, well, night and day when it comes to pace. It's good to see Beast Racing on track as well, a team I used to actually race for, run by iRacing's very own Drew Adamson, a mainly American outfit. They are a very, very good team, but Jack Wells, good friend of mine, currently out there in the number 082 with the gold highlights on it as well. Certainly looks fantastic. We've got SRM Racing Team, the home squad essentially. Paul Goffin and boss man Andy Marston. Paul had a very, very successful end to the season in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge earlier on in the year. And certainly gained a lot of ground. We've got Oliver Ettridge off the ground in the CCK Motorsport machine. He's teamed up with Jack Werrell, another very good friend of mine. He's going to be out there tonight, certainly enjoying himself. Jack was a very late entry to the event, and so too was Ed May and his teammate in the Fury SimSport machine. Ed is teamed up with James Bumy, who will be taking over the car in just a second. Actually, that's what's going on right now. We've got Fausto Pinto and João Estevez racing together for Scalent Pro Driving. Their livery not loading at the moment, but we have had a little bit of a technical hiccup with getting them into the session before now, so I don't think the livery is going to load, unfortunately. Who else we got? We've got FTR Esports. We've got RD SimSport fastest at the moment in the black and pink machine, although that changes because FTR go right to the top and it's F the rest. That's surely what that stands for, because that's a beautiful, beautiful lap time indeed. It's actually the 107 car that's fastest in GT4 at the moment. James Bumy in 9th position outright, but as you see by the fact that it's the highest placed car with a white strip next to its name, is top of GT4. Ryan Parkins just about to cross the line. He's got his teammate Peter Mackay with him for this event. A really popular team, two fantastic guys. I'm sure they're going to be very entertaining indeed in this beautiful livery. It's a replica of the old Flying Lizard Porsche. They are car 45. You can see it on the back and on the windscreen at least, but on a white number board, unfortunately, the white number not quite showing up. Who else have we got? In-Cam Racing. We've got Charlie Stout and Paul Stout together. Charlie's done a couple of events with Sim Racing Magazine already, and he's been a real hit. It's been fantastic to have him in the events that we've had. Trying to think if there's anyone we haven't looked at yet, to be honest with you. We've got the Backwoods Racing Machine. This gorgeous black, orange and red livery. You can see just behind there the SRM 111 machine. Rear wing does a lot to cover up the cars following, actually, from that angle, doesn't it? I've not set that one up very well. Listen to the curbs around there, though. And watch the Porsche over there, watch the front. You can see it floating off the ground. Paul Goffin at the wheel of the SRM Racing Team 911. Makes one hell of a noise, doesn't it? So it's quite the long qualifying session, this one, for everybody to get enough laps in, with it being a long race. Look at the pace difference down the start-finish straight. And look at the pace difference into turn one as Paul's overdone it. Back end goes around. We're going to see a lot of that as the race goes on, you know. We're going to see a lot of drivers either doing a bit of that and really sending it down the inside of the GT4 traffic, or people just overdoing it on the brakes and over-rotating the rear end. So far, 7 GT4 cars, 8 GT3s. A decent turnout considering that really you need double the amount of drivers for these events. You know, it's 2 drivers per car. And it's not even just the fact that you have to get double the amount of drivers. You know, you have to get double the amount with duos of people that want to team up and race with each other. You know, it's a good effort. I think we've done very well, to be fair. And it's not a ridiculously huge grid either. It's enough to keep us all intrigued and enough to keep the race interesting. But not to the point where the drivers aren't going to enjoy themselves. You know, they're not going to be constantly overwhelmed with traffic. This is Richard Cawthron in the fastest car out there at the moment. The FTR Esports machine, top of the pile. He's going to be teaming up with Jack Nittabach, the American driver. A couple of Americans in the field, actually. The teammate to Jack Wells in the Beast Racing machine. Actually, sorry, he's not an American driver. He's from Germany. It's Soren Bjorn Kroll. He's going to be taking over the car a little bit later on. Show you how the field is spread out around the circuit at the moment. The 82 car seemingly going slowly. Jack is stopped at the side of the road and goes back to the pits. As Christian Zaruta makes his way around the right-hander. Jakub Szymanski in the chat. Christian Zaruta in the air. And you can see just how quickly he's caught the back of the Orburis Racing machine of Rob Sharp. Rob, another driver that had a fantastic end to the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge's first season. A championship which is coming back for a second running, let me remind you. Sign-ups for that championship are surely just around the corner. But at the moment, the best lap times in each class are about 6 seconds apart. Richard Cawthron with a fantastic time of 46.627. I'll show you the lap times on the left. 52.066 is fastest in the GT4 category at the moment. Let's just see what this front end coming off the ground looks like over there. You can't really see it. Rich is really trying though, isn't he? Lewis in the chat, good to see you, mate. Oh, look at Rich really pushing it around there around the final corner. You can feel how late he's braking as well into the first corner. It's quite scary, to be honest. So that first corner is called Big Bend. Then we have the S's. And then apparently as well, this next part is also called Big Bend. As it goes down the hill, there's Rob Sharp again. He's going to have to go down the inside on the way in. And then the front end's going to come up. No, it's not. Floats it over the top of the hill. That's back straight, West Bend, and now diving turn, which is the final corner. And of course the Sam Posey straight with the big bridge at the end, which tells us exactly what it is. Rich Cawthron does a personal best final sector there, but no improvement outright. Fausto Pinto has done a green sector 3 at the moment on this lap. Hoping to move the Scalant Pro Driving machine further up the order. Currently 8th in class at the moment. Brian Penny in the chat, good to see you, mate. I hope you're doing well. We've also got Charlie Stout there for In-Cam Racing just behind. Currently In-Cam Racing are at the bottom of the list. There is your team names on the left. Over the course of the race we will change around who shows and where as well. Oh, that's a big old moment that by Charlie and Fausto. And now Charlie's in front of the pack. Oh, there's more and more contact. The cars don't stop very well when they're going backwards, unfortunately. Oh, cameraman absolutely has an accident. There's a big off there, and that is the number 13 machine going down the hill backwards. That's Christian Saruta. He's gone straight back to the pits. I think Fausto Pinto in the Scalant Pro driving car have been knocked about all over the place towards the end of that one. Now Ed May, currently at the moment, fastest in his class with his teammate. Oh, overlay decides that it wants to update itself. But the Fury SimSport machine going well, not going so well off the circuit, but Ed has proven himself in the Aston Martin and in the McLaren in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. That he is right up there, finished right near the top of the championship standings after an amazing battle all season with Simon Povey. But it's car 1P1 at the moment. RD SimSport have turned up, haven't they? Paul Stewart Walton. Wow, look how hard he is pushing that there. Really pushing that thing across the line. He was absolutely flinging it there. We've got Tim Perry off the road in the boosted SimSport machine. He's sharing that car with Ben Gregory. Flying Gizzard are currently second fastest in GT4, and I tell you what, it is not close either. It's not a big gap either, I was supposed to say. Flying Gizzard currently second in their class to Ed May and his teammate James Bumy. I'm excited to see how Peter Mackay gets on. He loves these sorts of events. Last time I spoke to Peter when he did a driver change in an endurance event, he swore live on air, calling his effort pathetic. But I imagine he's going to really enjoy himself out there this evening. And that's what this is all about, you know. We just want the drivers and teams and everybody that's in this event to enjoy themselves out there. It's all put on for a bit of fun. We have to give our thanks to Porsche Centre Chester for the sponsorship of this event as well. Without them, we would not have been able to put the money forward to put this on. And we're very grateful. It's great to have a brand like them on board as well, especially as the event is all Porsches. Now already, while this is one of the latest GT3 cars to come to iRacing, this car is already sort of going out of date, isn't it? Porsche have announced the new 911 GT3R and it started competing all over the world. Jack Wells is competing all over the edge of the first corner as the backwards racing machine of Angus Cummings goes through. Now get used to seeing these cars in the daylight, or well, don't get used to seeing them in the daylight, because before you know it, it's going to be night time. Good to see Tom Slater in the chat as well. Tom, would have been good to see you out there, mate. It's a shame we've not got you on track with us, but we hope you're enjoying your evening wherever you are and whatever you may be doing, aside from watching this amazing broadcast, of course. There is the beautiful Boosted Motorsport machine. Lovely looking car. Boosted have always had this amazing sort of dazzle camo and bright patterns, with their drivers being distinguishable by the fact that they have this sort of different primary colour on this. John Roberts has always run this big green, lime green pattern that he's got. Christian Ceruta's on a flyer here, 2 green sectors from him. Is he going to move up the order? He's mere thousandths of a second behind Jack Wells, but no improvement from him there. Tim Perry is on a bit of an improvement in the first sector, but not elsewhere on the lap. He crosses the line and does not improve. Jack Werrell's out on track now in the CCK Motorsport machine. I was playing a bit of Wreckfest with Jack earlier on today, and I explained to him that tonight is not quite going to be the Wreckfest that you normally expect in GT3 cars on iRacing. Jack is pushing this thing hard though. Fellow commentator as well is Jack, and his father, Mark Werrell. Both lovely gentlemen, always a good laugh. And both very, very good commentators as well. But look at the front end coming off the ground there. It's amazing to see, as Ceruta has gone second fastest for night and day racing. And that's what it costs to go fastest. You've got to fling it as fast as you can down the straight and only just, well, not even make turn 1 basically. Across the line goes Werrell. What does he do in terms of a lap time? Any improvement? No. John Tusting looks like he's about to improve as well. 2 green sectors there. Joe Werrell in the chat. Mummy Werrell, good to see you. John Tusting improves, but it is still 7 tenths off the car ahead, unfortunately. Got João Estevez there in the GT4. He's about to put in another time, I believe. This might be his outlap, actually. It is. We've got a number of cars on their outlaps as well. Clearly, a lot of them going into reset. Get new tyres, get some fresh fuel, of course, and then crack on once again. Now, the cars are limited to 50% fuel during this race, so they can only fill the tank up to half its usual capacity, which means that we'll get more pit stops than you would normally get from a 2-hour race. You'd only really expect to see 2, if that, from GT3s and GT4s in 2 hours. So we should get about 4 pit stops throughout this one, I reckon. There might be a bit of splash and dash at the end. I've not taken that long to figure out the strategy of it. That's down to the drivers and the teams. We've got drivers now, second drivers coming out as James Bumy clearly on the wrong layout here at Lime Rock doing these chicanes. I hope it's not his first lap round the circuit. Paul Stout, he's back out there after Charlie has handed the car over. Well, Paul Walton, what a lap that is for RD Simsport, top of the pile at the moment. He's going to be sharing the car with Ukrainian Peter Kush Sidkar. Sorry, Sikdar, not Sidkar. I apologise, Peter. No, I hope that's not what I think it is that he's doing there. You can still effectively brake drag a little bit here on iRacing to get heat in the tyres. Either that or he's just leaving enough of a gap to the car in front. You know, it's very easy to misunderstand it or misinterpret it. Now, luckily for us, the Porsches have green lights in the rear windows to tell you their position. You see the 02 in the back of Christian Ceruta's car when he comes around the corner. Whoa, there's the Flying Gizzard machine just about missing them. You see that big 02 in the rear window. Some of them don't have it, though, dependent on which style of decals they use. So I've only just realised that. That's not going to help us that much, to be honest with you. The Beast Racing car does not have them, neither does CCK. The SRM car doesn't have it either. So at the moment, it's only our top two that have got that. RD SimSport and Night and Day Racing. And they're the ones with white numbers on the cars, you see. So it must be something to do with the decal setup that you have on iRacing. You can choose what style of numbers and stickers the livery adheres to, and the fact that iRacing trusts many a sim racer with different types for them to then correspond that with whatever livery they put over the top, I think is foolish. Even the GT4s are getting off the ground there. You see James Bumy lift the front end up. Wow. In the background, that was a big old moment. It was it was not Jack Wells. I believe it was Rich, it was Rich Cawthorne. Has the car completely off the ground. Look at the speed of it round diving corner there. Diving turn, it's called, sorry. That was a big send. As wow, again in the background, Paul Stewart Walton gets the entire front end off the ground. Comes up over the hill. Look how much they're pushing here at the end of the session. Into the last 10 minutes of qualifying. Now, what are your predictions for the race, everybody? What do you expect to see throughout this one? Which team are you rooting for on the left-hand side? Let us know. We want to know which team you're here to support this evening, who you're cheering on. I know there's a number of you in the chat or watching, whether it be across YouTube, Facebook or Twitch. Hello to you all. Hope you're all enjoying it so far. A 2-hour endurance race coming your way here from Lime Rock Park in this special event. Chaz Draycott Media with Sim Racing Magazine. Sponsored by Porsche Centre Chester. Rock around a bit of the clock at Lime Rock. We've got 8 times day-night acceleration going on, so the sun will be setting very quickly. The race is due to start about 6 p.m. in sim time. So with the race covering about 16 hours of racing, it's going to certainly look very good come the end of the race. It's going to look great partway through as well, with the sun going down very early on. The first hour or so of the race is going to be basically in the pitch black darkness, and then into the closing stages it's going to be the sun coming up, and it's going to look very, very pretty indeed. So the 2 boosted cars are in the middle of the pack at the moment as Ben Gregory's hit the wall as he comes out of the right-hander. They've got to be so careful for that over the course of the race. Currently boosted are 7th and 8th overall and the bottom of the GT3 class. But the thing is, in endurance races like this, it's not all about your qualifying. They're long races, so you've got plenty of time to sort it all out. This is Angus Cummings in the backwards racing machine. Hopefully they don't end up backwards in this race. And he nips back to the pits. So we look at Flying Gizzard once again. Ryan Parkins doing everything in his power to get that GT4 back up to the front of the class. Through the final corner he goes and across the line. Floats its way around the last corner, does the Cayman. Ryan Parkins is on a very good lap here. And he improves, but it's still not enough to beat that time set by Ed May. Rob Sharp's on for an improvement, or at least in the first sector he was anyway. Not sure if it's going to be enough to completely overdo the lap. It's not. John Tusting with a green sector 2. Any improvement from him? It is an improvement, but he's still a couple of tenths off Ben Gregory ahead. As Stuart Clark and Ben Gregory have gone off the road. Let's see what happened here. Ben's committed to the corner. Stuart was there and there was a big old hit. I think Ben maybe expected Stuart to back out of that one. They both come back out on track though to complete some more laps. We'll go on board with Stuart on this outlap and just see if there's any sort of traffic that you come across, even just on a slow lap here. As you've seen, it's less than a minute even in a GT4 car around here, so we're going to get a lot of laps in this race. More than 120 of them. That's a game that we're going to launch ourselves into later, is guess the closest lap, or the closest lap count. But they are going to run into a lot of traffic over the course of this race, so patience is going to be incredibly valuable around here. Now they get 2 fast repairs throughout the race as well, so 1 an hour. It's not bad going really, is it? There's a couple of curbs around here that the drivers can smack into, so maybe opportunities needed to get any damage from that fixed. But Stuart Clark currently 13th at the minute. 5th place in their class. And having a bit of a moment there out of the right-hander as well. But it's the car behind them on the track, RD Simsport, that are currently fastest at the moment. Paul Walton absolutely on it. He's really put in a belter of a lap time. Looks amazing around that final corner, doesn't it? And it will do for the whole thing as well. Off goes Richard Cawthorne in the background. He's hit the wall very hard indeed. And that's going to go straight back to the pits for him. That's not going to go down well, especially this close to the end of the session as well. Now, because it's not a really long out lap, you can actually get a couple more laps in still if you do nip back out there. But it's this black and pink machine. Car 1 as well, P1. They've certainly come into this with confidence with that number 1 on the door. Not that we can see it. But the thing is, they've been pushing so hard, or at least Paul has anyway. We haven't really seen much from his teammate yet, Peter Kush Sikdar. But if they push that hard during the race, then you never know how close they could be to an accident at all times. But, you know, Paul's got over 3,000 I rating to his name, so he knows what he's doing. We'll give you a quick look, actually, at the I rating of the field that we've got here. We've got Rich Cawthorne with 4.2 thousand I rating. Andy Marston in the middle there, less than 1,000 I rating, but still in amongst it with his teammate Paul Goffin as well. And, of course, the blue I ratings there basically showing that they have an A-class safety license. Green is B-class. And across into the pit lane now comes Paul, and he decides to pull over to one side. There is Oliver Ettridge in the CCK Motorsport car. As Saruta goes fastest, Christian Saruta in the final sector lights it up and does an absolute corker. Ettridge goes 3rd fastest all of a sudden. Wow, it's all changed at the front. Christian Saruta, though, in car 13, unlucky for some, has just gone fastest for night and day racing. Well, I'm sure him and his teammate Steve Kershaw will be over the moon with that. Very well done indeed. Jack Wells has dropped down a position. Ryan Parkins is going well. Oh, Jack Wells has gone off big time. Big time. Oh, that's a big old hit into the wall. Parkins has already crossed the line, and it is not an improvement for Ryan. Improvement for John Tusting moves him closer to Ben Gregory. And Paul Walton is on an outlap here, and he's going around the final corner, and he's going to be on the grass as he crosses the line. I think that's going to be it. He's ruined his run. Oh no, he's lost the back end and it goes into the wall. Richard Cawthorne crosses the line. And he crosses the line and goes fastest to 46.215. And the important question from Paul Rieger in chat, good to see you, mate, is track temperature going down? It must be. Absolutely must be. And right at the end, some of these guys doing wonderful sectors. Rich Cawthorne puts FTR Esports on the front row. Amazing stuff. Andy Marston crossing the line. 46.215 is the pole position time at the moment. Andy does a 49.766. Into the first corner he goes, and this session comes to an end. Rich Cawthorne has done a personal best first sector as well around here. He's absolutely flying. Across the line as well. Is that another improvement? It is a 46.084. Rich Cawthorne says, thanks very much, boys. Over and out. Gotta love that. We'll bring up the timing again, actually, as James Cummings crosses the line. Any improvement from the Backwoods Racing Machine? No, not this time. Now Andy Marston did slow down at the start of the lap, but he's going to carry on and cross the line and complete the session. You can see just how fast the timer goes up there, actually, with the 8 times day-night cycle turned on. Apparently we've already done 7 minutes. But that's that. Session comes to an end, and it's going to be pole position for FTR Esports. Very well done indeed to Richard Cawthraw, and of course his teammate Jack Nittabak. And we're certainly excited to see how they get on in this one. But the special event about to get underway, and I cannot wait. It's been a long time coming, this one, and it should be a hell of a lot of fun. So then, Richard Cawthraw and Christian Saruta, FTR Esports and Night and Day Racing on the front row. Then we have RD Simsport lining up alongside CCK Motorsport on row 2. Behind them, Beast Racing alongside SRM Racing Team on row 3. And just over a second back from the top spot. And the back row of the GT3 class, we have Ben Gregory and his teammate Tim Perry in the boosted Simsport machine. And then John Tusting in the boosted Motorsport car on row 4. Then we have Fury Simsport alongside Flying Gizzard on the front row of GT4, followed by James Cummings and Angus Cummings in the Backwoods Racing Machine, car 26. Rob Sharp and his teammate for the Orburis Racing Team, it's Oliver Carwadine, will start on row 6, 12th on the grid. Rusty's Roasts Racing next up with Stuart Clark at the wheel. And then we have In-Cam Racing, Paul Stout on the 7th row of the grid, and Scalent Pro Driving, João Estevez and Fausto Pinto lining up at the back of the field. So as you can see, the daylight is fading quite quickly here at Lime Rock Park. Here's the view back from Christian Saruta's car. And there's a lot of calm before the storm here, before everything gets underway. Now the GT3 and GT4 machines are all in separate classes and will separate as this race gets underway, I'm sure. It's going to be James Bumy at the front of the field in the GT4 class. He's blinking in and out a little bit here, is James, so hopefully we get him back. And Jack Wells in the Beast Racing car struggled to get away for a minute there, but he does finally get going now. And he needs to catch up in the queue and then get alongside the SRM machine on the left there. There you see them making their way around ever so gradually. Great looking field of cars. And we hope that everybody enjoys themselves in this one. James Bumy is blinking in and out quite a lot here. So maybe Ryan Parkins and Peter Mackay on that front row can make something of that. They've got a front row seat with all the GT3s ahead of them now. There's 4 perfect rows of the GT3 cars, but one queue is longer than the other in the GT4s here. Fausto Pinto at the back of it. It's going to be on the right hand side come the start. He's actually ahead of Paul Stout here, but we're about to get underway, and it's Richard Cawthraw for FTR Esports that's going to lead the way, and we are about to rock around the clock, or a bit of it at least, at Lime Rock. 2 hours of racing here on Chaz Draycott Media with Sim Racing Magazine, sponsored by Porsche Centre Chester, gets underway, and it's a very tidy start by Rich Cawthraw, and over to the right hand side already has gone Christian Saruta in the Night and Day Racing Machine. He's covered off the inside line, everybody taking it nice and easy. James Bumy's not, he's down the inside of one of the GT3 cars already. He says, right, stuff you, different class, I need to put a car between me and my rivals in class, and he's already down the inside. It's Paul Goffin just in front of him in the SRM machine starting this one, but it's nice tidy stuff as Richard Cawthraw for FTR Esports leads the way. Ryan Parkins and his teammate Peter Mackay second in the GT4 class for Flying Gizzard. And these guys are going to be taking it nice and easy over the first couple of laps just to get into a rhythm, but everybody's made it safely round for the first time. And trust me, that day-night cycle will come around very quickly and everything will fade away very, very fast. Nice and close at the front of the field though here. If we look at this, go on board with Jack Wells in the Beast Racing 911. You can see just how close the top 5 are together. He's got about a second behind him to Ben Gregory, then Paul Goffin and John Tusting. That's the only position change in that class. Paul Stout and the In-Cam Racing machine has got ahead of Rusty's Roast Racing further back, but look at the wheelies that they do over the hill. It's amazing to see it. But this top 5, they're going to try and keep it nice and tidy, aren't they, throughout the whole thing. James Cummings in the Backwoods Racing Car, third in class at the moment, right behind the Flying Gizzard entry. He's going to start putting a bit of pressure on here maybe as they go round the final corner. The thing is, if he starts to put pressure on, and James Bumy and the Fury Simsport car at the very front of the field can break away. It's close here between Stuart Clark and Paul Stout. These two swapped over since the start of the race. But a nice tidy opening couple of laps. We're only on the third lap of the race though. So anything can still change yet. We've got a long time to go. Just keep your eye on the shadows though, and how quickly they get longer and longer, and how this day just disappears into night. Paul Walton here side by side as Oliver Ettridge goes down the inside, and Paul, well, he gave him the room down the inside, but he's run very, very wide indeed. The car that was looking certain to be on pole position drops to the back of the class. Well, he went to defend the inside line, went a bit deep, and then Oliver put his nose down the inside. There was no contact or anything. Paul was being as respectful as he could, left the room down the inside. But now he's got a mountain to climb. Dropping from third on the grid all the way down to the back of the GT3 class in 8th position. May not seem like a lot of cars to get through, but with how close the pace is around here, it's going to be quite the ask. Now, one of the interesting aspects to think about in this race is going to be the fact that we've got 2 drivers per car as well, so different pace between each driver. It's one of my favourite things about endurance racing. Paul may be really, really fast in this RD car, but you know, I've not commentated on his teammate Peter Sikdar before, but you know, Peter could get in and be 1 second a lap slower than his teammate, and that could make all the difference later. James Cummings has got past Ryan Parkins for second place in GT4. Nice, stable and safe move down the inside into turn 1. And now Paul Walton is going to be on a mission here. He's got John Tusting in front of him, part of the Only Johns duo as they get called. Not sure if they actually have an Only Johns logo on the Boosted Motorsport Porsche. But it's John Tusting and John Roberts sharing that machine. There's only a second from our race leader to second place at the moment. Rich Cawthorne for FTR doing everything he can do. As there's movement further down, Stuart Clark overtaking Paul Stout. Oh no, Paul Walton's gone off the road. Paul Walton's gone off again, and he's lost ground. No, John Tusting's the one that's gone off the road. Apologies. Not sure if John's looped it on his own. We'll have a look at the move between Stuart Clark and Paul Stout. Lovely stuff down the inside. Just enough room left there by Paul Stout. This is what happened to John Tusting. Oh, the back end's gone around on him. Did it hit the wall? No, he didn't hit anything, which is good. So the car isn't damaged in any way. And he gets away with that one. He's lost a lot of time, though. But this is a long, long race, so you can't count yourself out at any point. It's Ben Gregory in the boosted SimSport machine with Paul Goffin right up behind him, and look at this, he's closing in and in and in now. Ben decides to defend the inside line. Paul backs out of it. Doesn't go for him just yet. The back end stepping out a little bit on Ben's car. He's had to correct it. Paul looking very purposeful now right behind him. On board with the SRM Racing Team machine. Always a little bit wide of the apex though as they go through the second part of Big Bend. Up the hill they go. Big wheelie once again from the 911. Super Riley in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. As Ben Gregory's gone wide. Gregory runs wide out the west bend. And through goes Paul Goffin. Doesn't need a second invitation. They both lose a bit of time because Ben could have very easily spun back onto the road there, but just clips that curb, runs wide. Nicely held by Ben, it has to be said. And Paul goes through. Now they're coming on traffic here. The first traffic of the race, and that is Fausto Pinto. And look at that, right behind them as well. Paul Stewart Walton goes through, and he's like, right, now I can get in on this. So now that the traffic is in there, these battles are going to get even more squashed together. Three-way scrap now for 5th position outright in this race. 5th place in GT3. James Bumy into the pit lane. Has he been off the road? He has. Bumy has had an incident here. Oh no, he's clipped the grass and he's going to hit the wall. Oh, he is. And he's going to take a fast repair for that one. This is what happened to Fausto Pinto. He had Oliver Ettridge behind him and he's just missed his braking point. But James Bumy, class leader, has been in the pits and back out again for a pit stop. So that now means that James Cummings leads the way for Backwoods Racing, and they've got the race leader coming up behind them, Rich Cawthraw, in the FTR Esports car. He's going to go through on the right-hand side now. There's going to be a lot of patience needed here by both classes. The GT3s have got to take their time in getting past the GT4 cars. It's close behind as well. Look, Jack Wells gets a great run. Amazing run on Oliver Ettridge. Fantastic stuff. Wow, that was an amazing run there by Jack Wells. Oliver must have surely just got caught out with traffic at the end of the lap. Yeah, he had to brake and get out of it with the Flying Gizzard car. Jack Wells says, thank you very much, sunshine. Very close down the straight, but through he goes. Gutsy stuff. Give you an idea of just where everybody is on track. Then you can see the GT4 field, which are the white dots, being overtaken by the GT3s, which are the black dots. They're getting sort of absorbed at the moment. Paul Goffin, as we look at him here, closing in on Rob Sharp in the Orberis Racing Team machine. Down the inside he goes. Nice and tidy. Now, watch the speed difference out of the corner there, because that's the main point. Whoa, that was a big moment, that, by Paul Walton. That's a big old wobble as he gets to the bottom of the hill there. He goes down the inside of Rob Sharp as well. Rob leaves in the room. Nice stuff as Paul Goffin's gone off. Oh, Paul's looped it. The rear end has got away from him. He's not hit anything or anyone. Cuts across the circuit to make sure that in his rejoin he's not slowing anybody down. Paul loses time. All on his own there, I believe, yeah. Just goes hot into the corner. Oh, no. Oh, he tries to avoid the Flying Gizzard car. So he slams on the brakes. And it just over-rotates on him. Ben Gregory now under pressure from Paul Stewart Walton. Paul is certainly eager, very eager around the final corner. Gets an amazing run on Ben. Where's the boosted machine? You can hear it. You can just about see the wing there. As down the inside goes Paul. Lovely move. Goes up into 5th position for RD SimSport. Gains another place. Or gains another place back. Anyway, they're 2 places down on where they started. A car that's 2 places up on where it started is this machine, the Beast Racing car of Jack Wells. Doing a great job in these opening stages. We're only 10 minutes into this race so far. You can see the shadows getting longer though, can't you? James Cummings still leading the way for Fury SimSport. Actually, apologies, no he's not. It's Backwards Racing that's leading the way. That graphic just needed updating. It's the number 26 car leading GT4 at the moment from Flying Gizzard, and then Orberis Racing in third. And the GT4 battle is probably going to be the most interesting one, to be honest with you, because of the fact that they're not the cars that are cutting through the traffic. It's not how they manage the traffic in the way of going forward, but it's how they manage the traffic in the way of making it work for them and, you know, making it through nice and safely. Now we can sort that out, apparently. Whoa, that was close there. If you bear with me 2 seconds, I will sort out that text on the left there. It doesn't seem to have worked, so apologies for that. We continue to watch Rob Sharp. In this gorgeous Orberis racing machine. You can see just taking it nice and easy round there at the moment. Sorry, I'm just trying to find something here for the coding that we need to do to make sure that you can actually read that text, because where it says GT3, it's obviously in black, so we can't see over it. Now, it's something I fixed earlier on, but clearly not. Or not well enough, or not right. But you know what I'm like when I'm broadcasting, I'll always be honest. I'll tell you how it is when I'm fixing something as well. I want to make sure everything's all spot on. Let's try that, shall we? There you go. Aren't I good? Aren't I good to use? Whoa, scary moment there. Between Oliver Ettridge and the 107 car of James Bumy, who's taken one of his fast repairs so far in this race. Now, James Cummings has been off the road for Backwards Racing and lost the lead of the class while we've been looking elsewhere. He's just gone a little bit too hot into turn one. And we're going to literally see the class lead disappear, because there goes Flying Gizzard, and there goes Orberis Racing, and there also goes Boosted Motorsport, John Tusting at the wheel. And I believe we've had another car go off the road here, which is Ben Gregory of Boosted Simsport. What's happened there? Paul Walton's been involved as well. Paul Walton's had a big old hit. There's been some big accident here. Paul's had a moment. Oh, and he's going to bounce back into the middle of the road. Oh, Ben tries to avoid it. Wow, the car goes up in the air. Oh, man. So you'll see Paul goes through the corner, clips the grass, hits the bridge very hard, and Ben slams on the brakes. Tries to get to the right, but I imagine with the ABS kicking in, the car does not want to turn. We've got Oliver Ettridge going back past Jack Wells, who seems to be going slow down the straight. It's all happening here. All the while, our two leaders remain the same. Rich Cawthorpe making his way through traffic, and just behind him in the background there, Christian Saruta in the number 13 Night and Day machine. Whoa, lifting the front off the ground as ever. Doesn't it look fantastic when they come up over the hill like that? You get the overall positions on the left hand side, as you see there though, and we're going to try and give you the interval between each car as well, so you know what that looks like. I wish it didn't do that in colours either. These are all things that were sorted, but for some reason the overlay doesn't seem to have saved the changes from earlier on. But we can fix that, can't we, you see? I'm good like that. Anyway, this is the second place car in the race, trying to chase down the race leader, Christian Zaruta. Very fast indeed. 1.1 seconds behind Rich Cawthorne. Now they've got a little bit of clean air ahead of them, so they can put in some properly fast lap times. We're on lap 20 of this race. 15 minutes done. Jack Wells and Oliver Ettridge now right amongst it. Look how close the whole field is together. It's on one big part of the circuit, down the start-finish straight. Jack Wells having to play it very safe here. Still got an hour and 45 minutes of this race left to go. We're going to have a number of pit stops throughout this one as well, because the cars, as mentioned earlier, are limited to 50% of their normal fuel tank size. This is Ryan Parkins in the Flying Gizzard car. Ryan won 2 Porsche Couple of Great Britain Sim Racing Championships in a row, and he did that by knowing when to be calm and when to be chill, as opposed to when to go gung-ho. Right here, we see James Cummings hoping to go a bit gung-ho on the car ahead of him. Paul Walton is back in the pits again there. Now the RD Simsport car, certainly one of the fastest out there, but I think Paul may be overdoing it slightly here. He's been pushing way too hard, hasn't he? Wow, that's a big old moment. And is he going to hit the wall? Oh my goodness me, is he? Wow, it didn't look like he'd had that hard a hit. But that is going to be the second fast repair for that car, surely. That's if they even come back out. But he certainly pushed his luck a bit too much there up to this point in the race. That's Oliver Ettridge. His teammate Jack Werrell will be very happy with third place so far. They started fourth on the grid. Back to this though, the GT4 second place battle. James Cummings right behind Rob Sharp. Rob in this one, in that number 86 car, teamed up with Oliver Carwadine. James Cummings teamed up with his son Angus. We've got 3 father-son duos in the field, I believe it is. We've got Charlie Stout and Paul Stout. And we also have Stuart Clark and Russell Clark as well. I believe they're father and son. Apologies if they're not. This is big pressure though by James Cummings, this, isn't it? All over the back of the 86 machine in front of him, but look how simple this circuit is. I mean, I say simple, but you know, you hit curbs like that, you clip the grass a little bit. It's an absolute death trap in certain places. So easy to overdo it. A look back from the Auberis racing machine. Auberis make beautiful watches. If you've not seen one before, go and have a look. And look at that, he's almost let him through. It's like he's saying, right, you're clearly quicker than me. I'm going to let you go through nice and tidy, sunshine. Off you go. Now I'm going to quickly look up the points from the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, because I want to make sure. Yeah, it was James Cummings that finished third in the championship with no race wins, and he did that in the Porsche 718 Cayman GT4. So we know just how fast James can be. And he was right up there earlier on. And Paul Walton's gone off again, man. Paul is off, and he is, well, off. And I think that's going to be the end of the line for the RD Simsport machine, I'm afraid. Paul has definitely overdriven that thing, and he has dropped right to the back of the pack. Now the lead battle is hotting up here, because there's only half a second between Christian Zaruta and Richard Cawthorne. So these two have got right together here. Just about to hit the 20-minute point. And this is getting spicy. The sunlight has not disappeared just yet. But it will do very, very soon, I can tell you that for free. You can see a bit more reflection on the surface starting to appear now. The time is accelerated by 8. So with this race starting 6 PM in the sim, or apparently 6 PM. I don't think it has actually. Let me just check. No, it says 4 o'clock there, as you could very rightly see. It was supposed to start at 6. So we may only just be getting into daylight again by the time race finishes. I'm not quite sure why it's worked out that way. Oh my goodness me, Christian Zeruta. That was very, very sideways. Wow. That was a scary old moment, that was, for Christian Zeruta. Goodness me. Now we've had an issue for Paul Goffin. He's gone into turn one a little bit too hot. Oh, he's just over-rotated it, and he's not going to hit anything, is he? No, he gets on the power for just a moment, just to bring that rear end around, make sure it doesn't clatter into anything. Now, Peter Sikdar has got in the RD Sim Sport car, I can tell you. Side by side down the start-finish straight. Zeruta putting a lap on John Tusting. And unfortunately, we don't get to see the gap per class there, by the look of it. As you see on the left-hand side, the gap from the leader showing across both classes, which is unfortunate and frustrating. I was going to see if I could try and figure that one out for you. But no, it seems like no matter what we do, it's all just going to have to be interval from car to car. We've got Ben Gregory off the road. Luckily, hasn't hit anything either. I think Ben's going to come into the pit lane. And he's just lost the back end. Oh, he has hit the wall, look. Again, that wall not really providing much in the way of cosmetics when it comes to the damage that we see. This is the battle in GT4, though, for the race lead. James Cummings right up behind Ryan Parkins now. And I've been told that apparently Mr. Jack Wells has not got a teammate signed up with him in this race. So, unfortunately, due to drivers having to complete a fair share of laps in these races, Jack will be disqualified and the Beast Racing team will not be, well, basically classified wherever they finish in this race, I'm afraid. And I said before about the cars not having the lights on the windows for their position. Obviously the ones that don't have it on the side windows, as you see in the IMSA cars, whichever ones it was before, these ones with the green in the window, you see it there, the O2 in the rear window, they actually have it on the windscreen instead. You can see the number 1 there, glowing white on Rich Cawthor's machine as Paul Goffin in the middle of all that. Oh, there's a bit of a tap. Paul Goffin's been given a shove by the Flying Gizzard. He's been hit in the gizzards. And now Ryan Parkins is going to feel a lot of pressure here because he's got suddenly GT3 cars trying to get around him. I said before, Ryan has won championships in GT3s, but I meant the Cup cars that he's won it in, not GT4s. As James Cummings gets a mega run out of nowhere, he's put his nose down the inside, trying to get the GT4 class lead. Doesn't quite do it yet. But judged on the pace, looks like he certainly could. Down the inside goes John Tusting. James isn't going to enjoy that one, as through the middle of them goes Oliver Ettridge. Thank you very much, he says. You can see now we've got GT3s lapping other GT3s while lapping GT4s. So this is where it starts to get a bit messy now. Love watching them make their way through there. It just looks so fast, doesn't it? Now Peter Sikdar, unfortunately, having to not Sikdar but sit there because they have the repairs underway on that car. But this is your outright race leader, Rich Cawthraw, for FTR Esports. Now, if any of you are looking at that and wondering why the number 21 isn't quite in the right place and why they've gone for green number boards, there's two types of livery you can usually have on these Porsches. So you can see the black numbers on that car, the white numbers on this one. So it all depends on the livery that you choose within iRacing underneath, where it stamps the numbers and where it puts any sort of sponsor logos that are mandatory. A lot of the liveries have different sort of number placements and things that you have to consider. So what's happened there is basically just whichever driver is registered, the team hasn't got the corresponding livery underneath chosen, despite having a custom livery overlaid over the top. The numbers are stamped by the sim and not something you put in your own livery. This is the battle for the lead in GT4 once again. James Cummings hitting the rev limiter there by the sound of it as he chases down Ryan Parkins. Certainly a man that a lot of people would love to try and overtake. Ryan, a very, very quick boy indeed. Always has been. And he's a really nice guy as well. He's a good laugh. Apologies if you get any wind noise, by the way. I'm having to turn a fan on in my room. It's that hot in here. It's not often that you have to turn the fan on at this time of year, but it's on either way. It's getting hot here as well, isn't it, between these two? You can see now the light is definitely fading. Maybe just a bit of cloud cover at that point of the circuit, I'm not sure. Ryan breaks the slipstream by moving out to the right-hand side. It's close further back as well, by the way. James Bumy has now closed in behind Stuart Clark of Rusty's Rose Racing as James Cummings has gone for the lead. James has got it that time round. I didn't think he was actually going to go ahead and make the move, but he's gone and done it. He's gone very late on the brakes. Oh, Parkins has gone deep. Cummings tucks it in and just gets it sorted, and now leads the GT4 class. James Bumy has got ahead of Stuart Clark as well. So he now moves up into fourth position. But Rob Sharp all on his own here. He's got 2 seconds and a bit ahead of him to Ryan Parkins, but then he's got 11 seconds back to James Bumy. Love that livery, by the way. It looks absolutely stunning, doesn't it? On Rob's car. He's always had pretty cars no matter what series he's racing in. John Tosting about to overtake the Scalant Pro driving machine of Fausto Pinto. Him and his teammate João Estevez are still circulating. About 10 seconds off the car ahead, but they're still in the race. They're still pushing on. And that's what matters in these events. Because you have to push and push on. There's about 50 seconds between John Tusting and the car ahead, though, of Jack Wells. Now a lap between the pair. So there's a bit of a split in the field in the GT3s. Now this is for position. As I can tell you, Christian Saruta has been off the road. Saruta's been off. And we'll have a look at that in just a second. We'll keep an eye out on how this all changes. But Saruta drops to fourth position. And Ettridge goes up to second. Wells goes up to third. Let's see what happened. Is he just going to lose the back end? Oh, he's gone too hot into turn one. Runs wide. And it goes around. No damage to report by the look of it. Whoa, Christian drives into the middle of the road as he rejoins, but then again he would have checked his relative and seen who was where around him. And Jack Werrell in the chat saying pit window open, so he reckons now, any time around now, drivers will be pitting. Jack is sharing the 999 car with Oliver Ettridge, currently in second position. That's the CCK Motorsport entry. We look here at John Tusting, car 99. And just behind him on the road there is Paul Goffin. Paul trying to chase him down for fifth position outright. Everyone seemingly enjoying themselves so far. Of course, we hope you're enjoying the broadcast as well. If you are, please do remember to give it a like. Subscribe to Chance Draycott Media wherever you may be watching, whether you are watching on YouTube or on Twitch. And of course, give it a like in terms of the page as well, not just the stream. Ettridge into the pits then. He's going to hand over to his teammate Jack Werrell. You'll see the car disappear for just a moment. And Jack will get in, and there was a big old bang there, and Christian Zaruta is off the road, and so too is Jack Wells. The two of them have made contact, it seems. And the Beast Racing car continues on. Let's have a look. So Jack Wells has gone off the road. Zaruta's in front. Wells late on the brakes down the inside. Clatters into the side of him. Well, Jack certainly didn't want to be caught napping. And there's been contact between the two. Race leader in the pits, FTR Esports. Richard Cawthraw is in. Not sure if he's going to change drivers or not. Oliver Ettridge hasn't changed driver yet either. We've got Zaruta in. Wells coming in as well. They might have had damage from that incident that they need to get repaired. John Tusting is also in the pits. But the GT4 cars continue on. They don't need to pit quite as often as GT3s. They can last a little bit longer. And Rich Cawthraw is back out on track. You can see the sun coming down now. It's getting much later very quickly. Oliver Ettridge goes through, remains in second place. Night and Day Racing have switched drivers now, so Stephen Kershaw jumps in car number 13. And typically the livery changes absolutely completely. So that's not going to confuse us one bit. Jack Wells gets going again. He hasn't had a driver change to worry about. But Stephen Kershaw gets on with it. And doesn't have the same livery. Well, Night and Day, the name of the team based on what they think their pace difference is, but now, of course, the livery is Night and Day as well. Rich Cawthraw doing an amazing job at the minute for FTR Esports, leading the race outright. Nobody able to stop them so far. As we've got now GT4's pitting, Rob Sharp on his way into the pits. Ben Gregory in the boosted SimSport machine is also pitting. Rob there hiding behind the little Marshall's sort of podium gantry thing there. There's Paul Goffin, who has pitted so far. Give you an idea on the left hand side of those that have pitted. You can see there's only a couple of the GT4s that have pitted, but Fury SimSport, of course, pitting early on because of the damage that James Bumy had to the car. So they're going to have one extra pit stop compared to everybody else. Still up there in third place in the class at the moment, though, on fantastic pace as James Cummings comes in to the pit lane. And is he going to change drivers? That's the question. He is. Angus Cummings gets in the car. Stuart Clark is also into the pit lane in GT4. So it seems like, while they can go a bit longer, they can't go much longer. Fausto Pinto in the pits for Scalent Pro Driving. You can hear the GT3 cars screaming their way past. We're about a quarter of the way through this race at the moment. And because of the backwards racing car coming in, that means that Flying Gizzard are back at the front of the pack. And temporarily, it seems, because into the pits comes Ryan Parkins. Russell Clark is getting behind the wheel of car 23, which is the Rusty's Roasts Racing 718 Cayman. And on his way back out he goes. Stephen Kershaw coming across the line for Night and Day Racing. Again, different livery on this car than we saw before, but that's part of the appeal. Oh, well, there's nothing appealing about that, though, unfortunately, as Stephen goes straight on. Gets back on the road. That's the race leader, Rich Cawthraw, just about navigating his way past him in the gorgeous Manti Racing livery, the Nürburgring livery as well, with the Nürburgring 24 number boards on the side of it. And the video of some racing game on the windscreen banner. Now you can see those shadows are getting longer, look, and it's getting a little bit more golden here at Lime Rock Park. It's very pretty indeed. Oh, a scary moment there. As Stephen Kershaw just about negotiates, I should say, his way past the Clarks and the Rusty's Roast racing car, and it's very close behind as well there. Ben Gregory, that is, showing that he's not too happy by weaving around a little bit in towards turn 1. It's a big old lead though for Fury Simsport at the moment, but they're going to be out of sync with the pit stops due to that damage from earlier. So James Bumy 37 seconds out in front as Paul Goffin has gone off the road again. Manages to save it though, and I don't think he hit anything. Down the inside of the traffic. Oh, again, avoiding traffic. Paul just loses it. Fantastic job not to hit anything. That's the second time at least in the race where Paul has had a bit of an issue because he was trying to avoid a slower car in front. They really do close up on each other very quickly. Bit of a moment there by one of the GT4s running wide. I believe that might have been Angus Cummings. We've had Russell Clark off the road, and he's still off the road. Oh, Russell's in the barrier hard. He's going to have to bring that in to get repaired. We go back to this, though, because this is a battle in the GT4s between Rob Sharp and Ryan Parkins. But Fausto Pinto is in the way here in the Scalant car. And now, look, all of a sudden, Angus Cummings wants a piece of this as well. He's down the inside, says thank you very much. Parkins backs out of it. Cummings goes down the inside of both of them. Very gutsy stuff. But Ryan will not be a happy boy there. He's going to feel like he was held up by the number 8 machine. And even behind them as well, look, Jack Wells. He's going to be feeling held up as well. Ryan needs to find his way through as Jack tries to force his way through. But wow, Fausto's not making this easy for anybody, is he? As, oh, well, it was inevitable there was going to be a bit of contact there. He certainly didn't want to get out of the way. He's flashing the lights, not a happy boy. But wow, it was certainly scary stuff for those involved. The battle ahead is still going on here. There's 0.6 of a second between Rob Sharp and the car behind him, which is Angus Cummings. But look how quickly the sun is going down now. Look how golden it's getting here at Lime Rock Park. You could see it change there as we got into turn 1. The lighting suddenly changed, and it will change again very soon, I'm sure. It's going very, very quickly, and the sim sometimes struggles to smoothly animate it. We must say, though, that iRacing's day-night cycle has been very impressive. We were all very excited when it came into fruition. Curb's making a right old racket on the way down to the right-hander at the bottom of the hill there. The uphill, as it's known. And this is how it's going to be now. They're going to come around some of these corners. The shadows will be in completely different places, and by the next time they come around again, they'll have the headlights on. And it will have gone absolutely pitch black dark. Paul Goffin's off again. Paul's having to do a 3-point turn here. Just overcooked it into turn 1. It's so easy to do that here. Yeah, the back end's going and he tries to save it, but in doing so, all you can do at that point is throw it at the scenery. He's only just getting back on the road as well. He's staying out of the way of the GT4 leader. And then you've got Oliver Ettridge. Second place overall at the moment now is Oliver. After the issue earlier for Stephen Kershaw's teammate Christian Zaruta, Night and Day Racing. He's now working hard to try and gain these positions back. You can see, though, on the timing tower, it's very close between second, third and fourth in the GT4s. As the sun is setting, it's going to get a lot more frantic here as we go into the night time. As down the inside goes Angus Cummings. They're very close to making contact there. Rob Sharp really hanging on. And look at this, behind them the whole time, Ryan Parkins now, if a flying gizzard is in this as well. Half a second covering the second, third and fourth place cars in GT4. Ryan Parkins now closing in as they go down the hill. It's been a poor run by Rob Sharp. Angus Cummings is down the inside. What's Ryan going to do here? He's going to try and take advantage of both of them. He's moving over to the right hand side. He's on the grass. No, Ryan, you've overdone it, son. The King Hippo becomes an antelope dressed as a lizard as he wobbles and bobbles his way across the grass. and now loses ground, and he has to watch them in front of him battling away as Ben Gregory powers past in the GT3 car, and on the right hand side as well goes Stephen Kershaw. As look at that again down the inside, Angus Cummings makes his move on Rob Sharp, and I think this time he's going to get it done. He is. Slides the back end out a little bit. Whoa, careful stuff there by Rob. Flippin' Exxon moves over a little bit on Stephen Kershaw. Stephen would have had the fright of his life. He's now got to try and make his way through this GT4 traffic. Look at the pace difference between the GT3 and GT4 cars. Oh, not down the inside there. Stephen Shawley backs out of it. They're both going to hold each other up. Ryan Parkins is going to be around here somewhere, surely. Yes, there he is. And look, there is Oliver Ettridge, second place in this race. Now he's got to find his way through as well. Rob nearly squeezes him out of road. Ryan Parkins tries this as well. This is phenomenal stuff. And Parkins down the inside of Rob Sharp, side by side, both of them running wide, both of them dabbing the brakes mid-corner. Somehow they survive it. And Parkins and Flying Gizzard make their way through. Paul Goffin goes past as well. He's going to be happy to just get past a GT4 car without spinning off for once. James Bumi's come back into the pit lane, so after pitting in the opening few laps because of that damage, he's now back into the pit lane. Will he hand over to Ed May? That's going to be the next question. The race leader, well, it's almost like he's all on his own at the moment. There is Rich Cawthrow. Look at that. We've got a massive train of cars in the middle of the pack. Ed May is taking over the wheel of the Fury SimSport machine. But Rich Cawthrow now has a fantastic lead for FTR Esports. Car number 21 at the front of the pack. You can see it's getting much, much darker very quickly now. He's done a purple sector. Actually, that was the fastest lap of the race on that previous lap by Rich Cawthrow, so he is not slowing down at all. Back to this. Second, third and fourth in GT4. Now becomes first, second and third in GT4 with Ed May leaving the pit lane just behind them. There he is. But Angus Cummings now leads GT4 in his first race with us here at Sim Racing Magazine. And he's in front of Ryan Parkins and Rob Sharp, two of the finest drivers that we have in our midst in this lovely little community. I'll tell you what, Ryan Parkins has been working very hard indeed. I know Peter Mackay will be very happy with him for all of his efforts so far. I'm excited to see how Peter gets on as well. Oh, Angus has overdone it a little bit. No, he's overdone it a lot and he's in the wall. Oh, Angus into the barriers, and that's just all it can take. He's probably better off driving it back to the pits from there. And that's all it takes, look. He hits that inside curb. You could see him hit the brakes, and he ran wide. Kisses the grass. He's still on the power, and then there, it just suddenly gains traction. Throws it to the left. Sorry, to the right. Flipping it, Chaz. Get your right and left correct. Bounces off the barrier. We're very lucky that he didn't collect any other cars there, but that's going to be devastating for Angus Cummings. And that now gives the class lead back to Flying Gizzard. Fantastic team name, fantastic livery. And now they have the lead over Rob Sharp. And the backwards racing machine has gone backwards more than once in this race as well. They've had a couple of issues so far. And both times they were leading the class. Now they're about to lap Charlie Stout in the in-cam racing machine. He moves over on the left and says, after you boys. Ryan Parkins makes his way down the inside. And Rob Sharp hopes for an opportunity to gain a bit of time back on the class leader. You can see the sun going down there, glinting away behind the trees. 45 minutes almost done of this race now. I'm going to have a quick little commentary break at the 1 hour mark. We'll go through the order when we get to the halfway point, and then I will leave you for just a couple of minutes, and I can confirm that the RD SimSport machine of Peter Sikdar and his teammate Paul Stewart Walton is out of the race. A car that was definitely the quickest and probably the most exciting car on track early on. Unfortunately, a little bit too exciting for its own good. Car off the road, John Tusting. Doesn't look like any big damage to the car. We'll have a quick look at what's happened. Oh, the back end just gets away from him around the right-hander, and I think the reason he was so close to the wall is that he's just going to get it out of the way. I think that was race leader that went past as well. There's been an issue for Russell Clark. Getting absolutely nailed by Stephen Kershaw on his way back through the order. Stephen there a lap ahead of the car behind him on track, which is Paul Goffin in the SRM Racing Team machine. They've had a bit of a rough ride so far of SRM. Paul's certainly had a character-building stint, that's for sure. A lot of the drivers are going to be changing every single pit stop. Some of the other teams will only change when they get to about the halfway point of the race. But the sim disqualifies teams and drivers that haven't done a fair share of the race, so they have to do 25% of the laps at least per driver when there's 2 or 3 of them. Listen to this Porsche sing, it's absolutely glorious, isn't it? Paul Goffin working hard, we go on board with him now, and it gets even louder. Just listen to that. Absolutely wonderful noise, isn't it? What we'll do as well is when I go for my little break, we'll ride on board with our race leader, and it should be night time by that point. It's within the next 15 minutes it will certainly have gone very dark indeed. It's Russell Clark here being lapped by Rob Sharp. And I believe going past him as well is Charlie Stout for In-Cam Racing. Russell just making sure that he wasn't in anybody's way. Doing what he could there to make sure that he didn't hold anybody up. And that's all you can ask from traffic, as in the background John Tusting appears in the air over the hill. But now we get a little bit of calm for just a moment as the field spreads out slightly. You can see it's one big train really. The car with clear air in front of him is Jack Wells. He's got nobody visible for quite the while, but you can see, look, the black dots just moving that little bit quicker around the track than the white dots, starting to overlap them a little bit. But Jack Wells just up here in the top right of the track map. Massive amount of daylight between himself and the road, as well as the next car ahead, which is car 13 of Stephen Kershaw. So the next car he's probably going to lap is actually going to be the number 8 machine of Fausto Pinto. You can see, look, the sun is very much going down here at Lime Rock, and it is starting to glow and reflect very minimally now, actually. And in the next couple of laps, the lights, well, I think the lights have just come on. We'll have a look at some of the GT4s. The headlights are on indeed. You can see it's suddenly gone very flat. All of the colours changed then as we went round turn 1. There is quite the sudden switch over when it comes to the daylight disappearing and it going to sort of night time. It's going to look very dramatic and very interesting very soon, as Paul Goffin has gone off again at turn 1. He's not having a very good time down there, as Paul, unfortunately. Have a quick look at what issue he had. He's just going a little bit too hot into there, isn't he? And then it's just catching him out. As I said before, though, it's very easy to do. So what do you think of the race so far, everybody? Let us know in the chat. Are you enjoying it? Who do you think will be the eventual winners? What sort of potential curveballs do you see throwing in here? Do you think that the night conditions are going to change people's confidence? Do you think that the difference in pace between certain drivers and teams is going to really shake up the order? What do you reckon? It's a shame for the Beast Racing squad, because Jack Wells, he's been left on his own here by his teammate from what we can understand. He's been stood up as Jack, unfortunately. But hats off to him for doing a solid effort so far. Third at the moment, anyway. Stephen Kershaw is working very hard to get back up the order and gain places and gain time back after he and Christian Tsuruta were right up there. Second on the grid. look at the speed of the GT3 car out of the final corner and across the line. That is Ed May in the Fury Sim Sport machine. Stephen Kershaw is the driver that he was racing against in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge earlier this season. And we've got Charlie Stout. He's given him a bit of a flash of the lights, you can see. Letting him know that he's there. Oh, there's not much gap there, though. I don't think Charlie knew that he was going to be quite alongside when they got to it. Stephen needs to just get him on the exit out of here, and he does so. Over the top of the hill they go. And he moves in front. And it wasn't a flash of the lights from Kershaw, actually, earlier. It was the fact that Ed May's car is blinking in and out a little bit due to its connection. That's why there was flashes of the lights. Starting to look very pretty, though, isn't it, at the moment? Now that the lights are on. Conditions very different to how they were before as well. Ed May turns in. I don't think that he knew that Paul Goffin was quite that close as... Oh, the race lead has just been off for a second. Rich Cawthraw just having a minute. But Paul Goffin, bless him, he's had absolutely zero luck with traffic during this race. He's going to need a very, very large beer after this one, is Paul, and he's going to have earned it as well. I'm sure Andy will buy him one. He's worked very hard up to this point as Paul Goffin, and he's going to continue to as well as we get to nearly 2 hours of the race completed. Now, one thing that's worth noting is there's no incident limit during this race, so teams and drivers will not be disqualified on the spot here. But every 20 incident points that a team will get, and that's on the car, not just the individual driver, they will get a drive-through penalty. Now, Ed May has apparently just overtaken Angus Cummings for P10, but I think that was more an issue with connection. And apparently Stephen Kershaw overtook Jack Wells, and I think that's also down to connection. Into the pits comes Paul Goffin. Like I said, he's earned it. You can see how dark it's gone very, very suddenly. Give it another 2-3 laps, and it'll be complete pitch black darkness here at Lime Rock Park. There's your race leader, Rich Cawthraw. Lick of flame from the back end of the 911. It's good to see that the number boards still light up on this car. You can only just see what number it is, unfortunately. But on a number of them, like the Beast Racing car, you will see the full number, which is good. Number 82. On the GT4s, we don't get such nice to haves, unfortunately. But you can certainly see the Manti Racing livery glowing in the dark there with Stephen Kershaw at the wheel. It's going to look very pretty around now, isn't it? As all these cars make their way around in the dark. Look on board with Stephen Kershaw. You can see glowing in front of him there, car 26, Angus Cummings in the Backwoods Racing machine. Through he goes. And up over the crest of the hill once again. Two boosted cars swapping places. That's Ben Gregory going past John Tusting. John seemingly letting him through there, bad look of it. Maybe knows that Ben's a bit quicker. And now begins the nighttime portion of the race. Now it should be just about going daylight again by the time that the race finishes. It didn't start as late in the day as we'd planned in the sim, although it should have, apparently. As, Andy Marston, in one of his opening laps out there since coming out of the pits, has had a moment here. Oh, he's tried to get out of the way, and that's a big old hit into the barriers. Who was that was involved? It was Rich Cawthraw, wasn't it, race leader? Andy tried to get out of his way. And he's now crawling the car back into the pit lane. That's a real shame for Andy. The boss man at Sim Racing Magazine, the man that helps me put these events on. He's not immune to an incident, it seems. Look at this, though. Look at the lighting. Absolutely stunning, isn't it? iRacing's day-night cycle certainly does look good. Headlights glowing away on the FTR Esports car. Currently leading the race. Not a massive amount to look at behind. White Van Gaming, good to see you, mate. It says Bayek. It gets dark quicker this time of year, doesn't it? It certainly does, mate. Very quick indeed. But when you've got ×8 time acceleration on, definitely amplifies that effect. Well, I was going to say tenfold, but by about 8 times, I'd reckon. Here's your GT4 class leader, Flying Gizzard. Ryan Parkins and his teammate Peter Mackay currently top of the pile. Rob Sharp and Oliver Carwadine about 5 seconds back at the minute. And then another 5 seconds back we have Ed May and his teammate James Bumy. Blinking in and out a little bit there is Ed. We still have Fausto Pinto and his teammate João Estevez running as well. They're currently 6th position in class. Russell Clark is still running as well, but after repairing the damage from earlier, he's lost a little bit of time, but still out there. That's Jack Wells going past in the Beast Racing GT3 car. A man that is unfortunately going to be disqualified when the race ends, because he's not going to have done his fair share of laps unless I've set the session up wrong. But he still pushes on. And we're getting up to the halfway point of the race now. Any predictions from anybody? Let us know in the chat what you think. Ralph Mayer said before it's going to get real interesting when the light dims and the GT3s are passing the GT4s. You're going to have some sweaty drivers this evening. I completely agree. I think we will. Lap 72 of this race so far for race leader Richard Cawthorpe. Here he is in the FTR Esports machine. We'll go on board as he goes past Russell Clark. Down the hill, and well, Lime Rock isn't a well-lit circuit, so you cannot see anything at all. Look at it. And it's especially scary going into turn 1, knowing that it's such a long and difficult corner. You can't see the apex. You can barely see the apexes to turns 2 and 3. Look at that. They just come out of the darkness completely. It's so hard to see anything at all here. That's what makes it an excellent challenge, Lime Rock Park. Especially when you're going over a blind exit of a hill like this as well. Certainly an interesting moment, isn't it? That's the unmistakable shape there of the Porsche 911 991 GT3R. Humongous rear wing on it. Ed May there getting lapped by the boosted duo of 911 GT3Rs. John Tusting we are looking at here. He's the next car in line to get past the Cayman. This is teammate Ben Gregory just moving ahead in front. Biggest mover in the field so far, Rob Sharp. And the Orberis Racing Team machine gained 4 places from where they started. And Andy Marston is still sat in the pits, I'm afraid. I think they must have had their 2 fast repairs already during this race. And whatever repairs they are having now, well, they're having at full length, I'm afraid. I think, seeing as this is a fun event, we probably should have had unlimited fast repairs. As Ben Gregory moves left in front of the car that he's putting a lap on there. I think that was Rob Sharp, wasn't it? It was, in the Orberis Racing machine. Oh, Angus Cummings. Angus Cummings is off. He's there at the side of the road. Gets going again, waits patiently for others to clear him. Oh, he's just got a little bit too hot and he's gone on the wrong layout of the circuit. But that's good though, he waits patiently there, look. He doesn't just dive straight back onto the track at the earliest possible opportunity. He waits. Ben Gregory into the pits for boosted sim sport. Rob Sharp, oh, Ben overshoots his box a little bit. Rob Sharp into the pits, gives over the car to Oliver Carwadine. Be great to see how Ollie does as well. Ollie also had a really good season in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, finished 7th in the championship, and he was the highest placed driver from any of the 11 tenths racing teams. They had Racing Team A and B in their squad, and Oliver was certainly a star. Cawthron still leading the way, doing a beautiful job of it at the minute, and I'm sure that his teammate Jack Nitterbach will be very eager to get in the car and continue on, hopefully, a similar pace for their sake. We have just hit an hour though, so we're going to look through the pack. Just give you a quick rundown of the running order at the moment. So it's Rich Cawthron and his teammate Jack Nitterbach leading the way in FTR Esports. Oliver Ettridge and Jack Werrell in car 999, second place at the moment for CCK Motorsport. And then in third position, we have Jack Wells for Beast Racing. Jack racing on his own at the moment. It's a fair effort, but unfortunately, due to the details, he will be disqualified at the end. Stephen Kershaw and his teammate, oh, hello, runs a little bit wide there. Christian Zeruta is his teammate for Night and Day Racing, currently running in fourth place, and it's John Tusting for Boosted Motorsport in fifth. He's ahead of Tim Perry, who's just taken over from Ben Gregory for Boosted Simsport. That concludes your GT3 pack for now. Ryan Parkins and his teammate Peter Mackay lead the way in Flying Gizzard. And then we have Ed May and James Bumy for Fury Simsport, the blinkiest car on the grid, as you see there. Oliver Carwadine third at the moment, nearly an entire lap down on Ed May currently for Orberis Racing, but they've pitted once more. Angus Cummings fourth place at the moment, sharing with James in Backwoods Racing. Charlie Stout and Paul Stout for Incam Racing are fifth in class. Then we have Fausto Pinto and João Esteves for Scallant Pro Driving. And Russell Clark currently at the wheel of the Rusty's Roasts machine in GT4. Andy Marston and Paul Goffin for SRM Racing Team. And Peter Sikdar and his teammate Paul Stewart Walton are currently showing as either in the pits or out of the race. Ben Gregory saying in the chat that was stressful. And well, hopefully this doesn't get too stressful either, as we're about to go on board with our overall race leader. As I have a quick break from commentary for just a few minutes here, just to make sure I've got a drink, get everything cooled down because it's rather hot in here. So we're going to go on board, and I will be back with you in roughly 5 minutes' time. If I can get the thing to work. Oh, don't you love it? Okay, there we go. I'll see you in 5, everybody. Enjoy the sights and sounds of Richard Cawthron's FTR Esports Porsche. Of course he comes into the pits as soon as I do that. God's sake. Right, on board with Werrell. Boy, it's lively stuff, isn't it? Very lively indeed. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott here, just after the halfway point of Rock Around a Bit of the Clock at Lime Rock with Sim Racing Magazine and Chaz Draycott Media, sponsored by Porsche Centre Chester. Hope you're enjoying your evening so far. Hope you're enjoying the race, of course. It's been a lot of fun up to this point. We've got the FTR Esports squad leading the way. Jack Nitterback at the wheel right now. He's taken over from his teammate Richard Cawthrow, who's done an amazing job. Unfortunately, Jack Wells has retired from the race for Beast Racing, but hats off to Jack. He's done an amazing job up to this point. He was running in the podium position, and it's just a shame that his teammate hasn't been able to make it for the race. For those wondering why he's retiring, basically, if you don't do an easy, sort of fair share of your race laps between the drivers, then you will get disqualified, because it's all about making sure that you don't have the same driver in throughout the whole race. There's been a few issues while we were riding on board there with Jack Werrell. John Roberts came to a halt and I think maybe ran out of fuel. He then jumped to the pits and has had to crack on from there. Tim Perry had a little bit of a moment, but I think this is just a kiss of the grass. Yep, manages to catch it. Lovely stuff. So let's have a look at the class leads then. So at the moment it's FTR Esports, as we look at them here, leading the way outright and in their class as well, doing an amazing job so far. And in the GT4 class, it's currently Ryan Parkins and his teammate Peter Mackay for Flying Gizzard, with a 5 and a bit second lead over Ed May of Fury Simsport, who is blinking around quite a bit. Interesting thing to note, though, is that if we look at this on the left-hand side of the screen, Ryan Parkins and Peter Mackay have only had one pit stop so far, and apparently no fuel went into the boosted machine. Flying Gizzard only having one pit stop so far, apparently. As Chaz brings up the wrong thing. So really, I think Ed May and his teammate might be about to re-inherit the race lead here, although not like that. With that much blinking, he won't. Because let's not forget that James Buemi had to pit early on in the race due to damage from hitting the inside pit wall. I'm sorry, the inside wall, I should say, out of the sort of rise over the top of the hill, over down the back straight. As Ryan Parkins is in, and the car going up on the jacks, interestingly, taking tyres. And Peter Mackay, commentary extraordinaire and reporter for the European Rally Championship this year, and also pretty much the voice of Porsche Sport, you could say. Peter's a wonderful bloke, really funny guy as well. Anyone that's heard the commentary that me and him have shared on the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing series will know that we get on like a house on fire, and boy do we have fun in a commentary box. He also commentates at Knock Hill, as far as I know, and he's a very incredibly knowledgeable bloke. And he recently got married as well. So congratulations to Peter. And of course his wonderful partner as well. But now, second place for Flying Gizzard. Now the Fury Simsport car is out of sync when it comes to the pit stops. It's going to be interesting to see what the pace is like. Oliver Carwadine for Orbiris Racing is third in class at the moment, 6 seconds behind Peter and Ryan. You can see the GT3 cars are really dropping like flies, to be honest with you, although hats off to the guys, Andy Marston and Paul Goffin, because Andy is back out there on track in the GT3 car after having a 9-minute repair earlier on, which is about 10 laps around here. They have cracked on. They are on their 74th lap of the race. The car ahead, which is Stuart Clark, is on his 78th lap of the race, so they've got 4 laps to gain back on just the next GT4 car. 17 laps down on the race leader Jack Nitterback in the FTR Esports car. I think it's about time though where we have only onboards really, because there's not much else to see from the outside of these cars. So we ride on board, we get a good idea of it, as look, Jack can't risk that there with Ed's internet like that. Paul Stout and João Estevez both into the pits. João is going to be taking over from his teammate Fausto Pinto. And Paul Stout just in front of him there, actually looking back, as, oh, we might as well look forward now, as there they go. And Paul is about to get moving as well in the in-cam racing car. That's the 113 machine next to him, which is Tim Perry for Boosted Sim Sport. That may have been a drive-through penalty for him, because he was in the pit lane for just 21 seconds. Now, when you get 20 incidents, or every 20 incidents you get in this race, means you get a drive-through penalty. It's basically like a driving standards flag, when in real life you'd get a black and white flag. If you go on board though, you can see not a single hint of any daylight coming yet, and we still have 45 minutes and change left to go in this race. Hope you're all enjoying the stream so far, wherever you may be watching. Thank you very much for being a part of it. I saw Mark Fletcher say hello in the chat earlier on. Good to see you, mate. Ben Gregory was saying that his stint was stressful. Oliver Ettridge was saying that his was very fun. Obviously, depending on where you are in the field, it can be a lot of fun, and it can be very, very stressful. I'll show you the overall standings, by the way, on the left-hand side, if we can. I love this thing. There's how it looks overall at the moment. If we give you all the overall gap as well on the left-hand side. You can see the class positions quite spread out now, especially in GT3. Only 2 cars on the lead lap. 4th place car is 3 laps down. Certainly spread out quite a lot between them, but we expected that. You know, it's a long race at the end of the day. There's a lot of laps around here, and it's not the biggest of places either, so it can all go wrong very, very quickly. Carl Hazelton in the chat. Great to see you, Carl. Thanks once again for Porsche Centre Chester being the sponsor of the event tonight. I hope you're having a wonderful evening wherever you may be. Sim Racing Community TV as well in the chat. Great to see you guys. Hope you're all well. We've got Porsches doing wheelies over hills this evening, which isn't something we normally have. We have Paul Stout off the road big time. Paul's in the barrier for in-cam racing. He's only been in the car for a couple of laps and he's jumped it back to the pits. Let's have a look at what happened. Oh, he's had a hit. He's had a hit from somebody. Oh, and he tries to get on the brakes and it goes one way then the other. Oh, man. We'll try and pick out who that was. Oh, it's the race leader. Jack Nitterback tries to make his way through and then look, just breaks away from him. Goes in the barriers very hard indeed. And then jumps back to the pits and he's still sat there now. Now they have the time that it takes it to tow back, which is usually between 2 to 3 minutes. But he will have a fast repair, I believe, on that car, so they won't have to wait for a long time for it to get fixed. That there was Jack Werrell in the CCK Motorsport car, 2nd place in the race at the moment. He's up behind bossman Andy Marston. Currently running down in 14th place overall, 7th in class, and he makes it nice and easy for Jack to get through. Jack was a very late entrant to the race. He only signed up this afternoon. Spoke to him yesterday night about the event that was going on. He said that he'd seen it advertised and seen me talking about it, and he was thinking, when is it? And I said, well, it's tomorrow. So he filled the form in, teamed up with Oliver Ettridge, and they've made quite the formidable team, haven't they? 2nd place so far, started 4th on the grid as well. And a great pairing to have in the pack. You can see there Rob Sharp having to make some moves. Sorry, Oliver Carwadine having to make some moves. Lapping Paul Stout there, who is, as I say, very quickly back out onto the circuit. Less than a minute in the pit box, actually. as into the pits comes Paul Stout again. Not quite sure why. Maybe a drive-through penalty. Doesn't seem to be stopping in the box or anything. Yeah, it's a drive-through for incident points, that is, unfortunately. Now, this is the top two in GT4. It's only a few seconds between them, and then Oliver Carwadine isn't far back either. It's getting closer and closer between the top three here, actually. Looking down the timing to see if anybody's setting blistering laps, but Jack Nitterback, now he's had a bit of clear air. Whoa, between himself and the ground anyway. He's done, well, he did a purple sector 3 on that previous lap. I say that like it's a massive achievement, but sector 3 is only 6 and a bit seconds long. Ed May is out of the car and he says that was an intense stint, that was. And that's off to him, Ed, the runner-up in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge in its first season to Simon Povey. And at the end of the day, if you're going to be runner-up to anybody, I think Simon Povey is quite the star. So if he was the only one that was ahead of you in a championship, I think you can be very, very proud indeed, and I'm sure Ed is. This is your GT4 class leader, Fury Simsport, James Bumy, teammate of Ed May. Doing a great, great job at the moment. Peter Mackay, second place. Certainly no slouch so far. He's doing 53s. 53.0 his last lap. The team's fastest lap of the race was a 51.98. So Peter certainly on the pace of Ryan Parkins in this car around here. He knows what he's doing. And let's not forget that it's pitch black darkness now. You cannot see a thing, look. And you've got GT3 cars pestering you all the time. Andy Marston's had a problem, I'm afraid. He's been off the road. He was down the inside of Oliver Carwadine, and I think he's just overdone it. Oh, he's just over-rotated it on the way in. Good save, though, Andy. Good save. Back on board with Peter Mackay, and you can just see how dark it is here down the start-finish straight. We're on to lap 100 of the race, by the way. Jack Nitterback is about to complete the 100th lap of the race. And there it goes. We're now on to lap 101. The race leader has some GT3 traffic to negotiate in the form of Andy Marston. You can see he's just taking his time. He's being careful. He's got half a minute back to... Oh, no, there's contact. He had about half a minute back to Jack Werrell. Not quite sure if that was just a breakdown of communication there. Let's have another look. Oh, there's quite a lot of netcode involved in that one. I think Andy just tried to slow it down, lift off the throttle and let him go. But there was quite a bit of netcode indeed involved there, unfortunately. Yo, indeed, Mark Fletcher. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Hope you're enjoying this wonderful night race here at Lime Rock Park. It's quite the interesting scenario and quite the interesting combination, we think. We're loving it. And Jack Nitterback and his teammate will be loving it at the moment as well. They've been leading this race for almost the entire thing. And they've been dominant so far. Peter Mackay in front certainly doesn't want to go anywhere. He's got 7 and a bit seconds ahead of him now to the class leader, James Bumy. James does a personal best on that last lap of 51.7. I'm pretty sure, yeah, that's the fastest lap of the race in GT4s, that is. And I'm doing very well, thank you, Mark. Very well indeed. Got some more exciting news to tell you all about, either maybe tomorrow or rest of the week. There's another person involved that I need to speak to about when we can say things and announce things, so you might have to wait on that one, but I don't want to do this whole social media thing of an announcement again, so I'm just going to do it verbally. Here's Christian Zaruta back up into 3rd place for Night and Day Racing. Teamed up with Stephen Kershaw in this race. And now the car has continued to display the Manthey Racing livery that Christian didn't have on earlier on. There's another bright green car in front of him. That's the 99 of John Roberts in Boosted Motorsport. And there he goes, being lapped. And now they're coming up behind Russell Clark, I believe. Actually, it's Stuart Clark in the number 23 Rusty's Roast Racing GT4. He allows those two to go through without any drama. Hats off to the GT4s. I'd say they've all been very, very good so far through this race. The 113 car, well, it may be 113 and not 13, but it has certainly been unlucky for some so far. Tim Perry off the road. What's happened here? Has he just gone deep and slammed on? Yeah, he just goes deep, spins it around, catches the grass, and gets back on with it. And Zaruta's off the road now. I don't quite know where Christian's gone, but he's way off the road, and that's out of turn 1. He rejoins back at turn 2. What? He's going to get the mother of all slowdowns for it, but to be honest, he's gone that far off the road. I don't think he really would know where the rest of the circuit goes, so I mean, it's an interesting choice to carry on that far, but it's scary on the rejoin as well. But he would have had the mother of all slowdowns for that. He's done a purple sector 2, and it's hardly surprising. Just down the inside of him there goes the race leader, Jack Nitterbach. And we're closing in on an hour and a half of this race being completed now. Got more and more traffic. Flipping heck, Jack is all over the back of the 99 car, but this is one of those moments. He's got the time. He can display patience here. He's got 30 seconds back to CCK. Doesn't need to push like this through the traffic, especially when it's GT3 on GT3 as well. Needs to just display that bit of patience. And hearing there from Ed May that sort of cutting of the circuit gives you a drive-through penalty, apparently. So Christian Zaruta may end up in the pits soon. He's had both of them off, though, down the start-finish straight. Tim Perry has been off the track again at turn 1. Way too quick into there. Oh, the back end gets away from him, and he nearly saves it. Is that going in the wall? No, he manages to keep it out of the wall. Good stuff by Tim. But he also goes with the idea of just cutting straight across the circuit rather than rejoining at turn 2, the double left-hander down at the S's. Love that shot of them flying around there at night. Looks amazing, doesn't it? There's a battle erupting here in the GT4s now for second place. Oliver Carwadine for Orberis Racing is on to the back of Peter Mackay. And apparently not even a slowdown, said Ben. Interesting. You'd hope it was in a way, wouldn't you? Flipping heck. We also need to update the graphic at the top there for the GT3 and GT4 classes, because it's now Fury Simsport that lead the way in GT4. The car in front of us there is the car in second place, which is Flying Gizzard. Very, very close. Again, it just gets closer and closer time after time. But this is the thing, though. They're going to have to display a lot of patience here, and they've got a GT3 car coming up behind them, absolutely flying, and that is Tim Perry in the boosted Simsport machine. Tim getting very close to the back of them. Whoa, Oliver dives out of the way. And I know that Oliver right now is going to be praying that when Tim goes past Peter Mackay, he's going to hold him up somewhat, but he's lost a lot of ground already here, so I'm not sure he's going to gain that much. And luckily for him, Peter is going to get away with this because Tim's going to go past pretty much down the back straight, and he's through before they go through the uphill. So Carwadine, if anything, has lost out there. Back down the hill once more, about to go into the 90th minute of the race. Just over half an hour left to go, and as mentioned before, it's not really going to be much closer to daylight by the time the race finishes. We did plan for it to have been becoming daylight again by now, but for some reason the sim has given us a different time to what it told me when I set it up, unfortunately, so I apologise for that. All we can do is look to the sky and hope to see it start going more and more grey. There is the Manti car, unmistakable Manti livery on the night and day racing machine of Christian Zaruta. Also going through there, I believe, was a race leader, Jack Nitterback. Getting a flash of the lights as well from Oliver Carwadine. He's probably just saying, please slow that other guy down. Either that or he wasn't happy with the way that Jack closed up on them. Right now, Fury Simsport continue to lead the GT4 class. I've not commentated on James Beamy before, but he's doing a very, very good job. Ed May saying it's about 1:30 a.m. in the sim right now. So given us we've got half an hour left and it's ×8 time progression, we should get, another 4 hours of daylight. So it should be about 5:30 a.m. by the time the race finishes. So the sun should just be coming up at that point. Thank you for the info, by the way, Ed. And again, I apologise that for some reason the times are different. It did say when I was setting it up that the race would start 6 p.m. in the sim, but for some reason it started closer to 3 p.m. that is. There's only a second between Paul Stout and João Esteves here in GT4. This is for 6th and 7th places, the last running GT4 cars at the moment, but still a battle. And that's what we want to see. Andy Marston's just had an off in the GT3 class. Clips the grass on the way in. Look how little you can see. Goes around and he's on the exit of the corner and he lets it roll back. He waits for others to go by and waits for the track to be clear, and then makes his return to the circuit. There is a car in there. That's João Esteves getting closer to the back of Paul Stout here. Go on board with the GT4 machine. Listen to it grumble. That car in front is for position. The Scallan Pro Driving guys almost didn't make it in tonight. They had an issue registering for the session, so we set another one up for them, and it's all gone well since then. They may be bottom of the GT4 class, but they are surviving. They're still racing on, and they are looking to make it to the end, and that's winning the battle, really. It's part of the war won if you finish these races. Tim Perry in the pits for Boosted Simsport, and wow, the revs build up very quickly. Let's go on board and listen. Such a wonderful noise, isn't it? Absolutely wonderful noise from the 991 GT3R. Jack Werrell is in the pits. He's been doing a great job so far as Jack. Second place with his teammate Oliver Ettridge for CCK Motorsport. I believe Jack is going to be in the car now until the end of the race. Oliver did the first half. Jack is going to do the second half. We need to look back at Peter Mackay and Oliver Carwadine, though, because they're getting closer together. Just keeping my eye on the sector times here for a moment, just to see what it's like. And there's just a couple of tenths here or there. It's like 2 tenths every sector, where Carwadine's a little bit quicker than Peter Mackay at the moment. And into the pits comes Oliver Carwadine, actually. So that's that battle done with for now. Anyway, James Bumy continues to lead. He's in there somewhere anyway, in the darkness. Around the final corner he goes to start what is going to be their 107th lap of this race. Race leader is in, Jack Nitterback for FTR Esports. And is that a drive-through? Looks like it. Drive-through for our race leader. Yeah, he didn't pit that lap. So that is a drive-through penalty for Jack Nitterback. The only 2 cars in their class that have had a proper pit stop so far in this synchronisation, or at least this run-through, are Jack Werrell and Tim Perry. That is CCK Motorsport and Boosted Sim Sport. And Rich saying it was a drive-through. Thank you for confirming, Rich. Much appreciated, mate. Now it's 20 incident points. Every time the cars get 20 incident points, they will get a drive-through penalty. And then this time round, Jack is now into the pits. They should still have a healthy advantage over Jack Werrell and his teammate. We'll keep our eye on it though, because let's have a quick look on here. If we show you where the 2 cars are, yeah, look, Jack's just going around turn 1 and 2 now. And the number 21 there on your screen, which is now highlighted by the yellow circle on the track map, is Jack Nitterback and the FTR Esports car, and he's just about to get going, is he? He builds the revs up and off he goes. So yeah, you can see still quite the healthy advantage there for our race leader. I'll wait for it to level out and we'll see exactly where they are, as Christian Zaruta is again off the road. Another off for Christian. Has he just gone in a little bit too hot once again? Oh, the back end starts to break away, and yeah, at that point it's around. And as long as you don't go too quickly across the grass, I guess you don't really gain all that much. Although he did do a purple sector too, so surely you're gaining something by going across there. But somehow getting away with it. Now the car behind him is Jack Nitterback, race leader. FTR Esports starting their 120th lap of this race. It's been a very impressive display so far. Jack's got plenty of time to be patient now. He's about 20 seconds ahead of Jack Werrell. There is Jack now, just going around turn 1. Into the pits comes Andy Marston. He's bringing the car back in. Just over 20 minutes of this race left to go now, and it has spread out considerably, but that's exactly what we expected. Oliver Carwadine and James Cummings are about 9 seconds apart at the moment. That's the Flying Gizzard car, side by side with James Cummings though. He's unlapping himself from Peter Mackay. Peter probably going to be happy to just follow on from James. He knows how quick he is. Race leader in GT4, James Bumy for Fury Simsport, is about half a minute ahead at the moment. He's having a good old run. Oliver Carwadine is the latest one to pit on lap 105. Christian Zaruta into the pits now from 3rd place in GT3. Really coasting the car in. Just trying to see who's a car we've not looked at for a while. John Roberts in the boosted motorsport car, still in for a top 5 finish at the moment. Still en route for that. And the boosted motorsport squad have not had the easiest of races so far, especially their sister car, the boosted SimSport machine, car 113. We join it in mid-air, running in 4th overall at the moment. And to be fair, that's a solid, it may be a small field, but that's still a solid result if they finish there, considering that they've had 5 pit stops, the most pit stops out of anybody in this race, this car. The only other car that's had more than 3 is actually the in-cam racing car of Paul Stout and Charlie Stout. They've had 4 stops, and so too have the SRM racing team. They're just having their 4th stop right now, actually, as Tim tries to get around the outside of the number 23 of Stuart Clark, and does so. There's João Estevez in the Scalant Pro driving car, just getting out of the way, being lapped once more. They're on their 107th lap of this race at the moment. Lead gap is getting bigger again, though. Jack Nitterback now still able to extend the advantage over Jack Werrell and the CCK Motorsport team. It's been a great performance by them so far. It's been beautiful to watch. They have the fastest lap of the race, 46.57. Fastest lap, nobody else in the 46.5s. Next fastest time was set by Christian Zaruta, a 46.84, and there you go. Fastest lap of the race just changed there, a 46.48. Purple Sector 3 and Purple Sector 4 from the American Jack Nitterback. Absolute dynamite lap time, that is. Amazing stuff, though. Top work by Jack and his teammate Rich Cawthron. The two of them have been pretty indestructible so far. John Roberts into the pits. And Andy Marston has been in the pits for another few minutes, I'm afraid. It looks like the car's had another hit somewhere. Not quite sure if he's had another off or something. It doesn't look like it from the what we call the event viewer on our timing software, which shows us when a driver's either been overtaken, entered the pits, been off the circuit, come to a halt. All of the things that would be notable. It doesn't say anywhere that Andy Marston has stopped or had an off, I'm afraid. Either that, or he's just come in for a scheduled stop to hand it back to Paul Goffin, and Paul's gone for his tea, or he's gone to bed. You never know. So, 20 minutes this race left to go. It's still pitch black, and I'm hoping that very soon the sky will start to go slightly grey and we start to see a bit of daylight here at Lime Rock Park. Look at the lighting there as they head into the first couple of corners. If we just get rid of the graphics for a second, look. Isn't that beautiful? The way the headlights just bathe that section of the circuit and the way they smoothly cascade their way around one way then the other. They're really evenly spaced out as well, actually. That looks fantastic. But yes, hopefully soon we get some daylight coming our way here. You can see that the water's starting to reflect slightly, so I'm hoping there is a bit of daylight on the way. But your race lead is continuing to be impressive throughout the night here at Lime Rock Park. As wow, down the inside. Very suddenly down the inside there, Jack Nitterback. And the car that he overtook, I believe, was Paul Stout. It was car number 15. Currently 5th in class at the moment, on for a top 5 finish. 3 laps behind the car ahead of them. But James Cummings and Oliver Carwadine are getting closer and closer together here. The gap is coming down corner after corner. Carwadine hoping for a podium in class, but James Cummings and Backwoods Racing, James and Angus have had a very trying... I was going to say they've had a very trying race with a lot of things thrown at them. A lot of stuff not going their way. And then that. Literally, as soon as I mention it, you just kiss the grass that little bit or watch it from the rear of the car. You can't even see what happens. Looking at the back of the car. Just watch how little grass he takes. There. It's one of those corners. It's absolutely horrible when you go off there. Lucky that the car doesn't end up back into the middle of the road. He's now side by side with Russell Clark, that is, in 7th position in class. Russell tries to get a cutback on him. Doesn't quite work, but they're not fighting for outright position. Or at least I don't think they are anyway. No, they're not, sorry. I was looking at Paul Stout's car, not James Cummings' car. Paul Stout is on the same lap as these guys, 34 seconds up the road. It's just here, in fact. Coming through turns 3 and 4. Into the final 15 minutes here in this special event with Sim Racing Magazine and Chaz Draycott Media. Rock around a bit of the clock at Lime Rock. And these are your top runners at the moment. FTR Esports lead the way in GT3. Jack Nitterback and his teammate Rich Cawthraw doing an amazing job all throughout this race. They only have 15 more minutes to survive and keep the pace up. They're currently 26 seconds clear of Jack Werrell and Oliver Ettridge, a team that only came to be this afternoon. A very last-minute entry. Not the only one in the field either, but CCK Motorsport currently running second. Christian Saruta and Steve Kershaw, Night and Day Racing in the Manti livery. Again, on for a podium, doing a great job. Then we've got the two boosted cars, Boosted Sim Sport, Tim Perry and Ben Gregory. Again, another team that just fabricated itself this afternoon to race in the event. John Roberts and his teammate John Tusting in car 99, running in the top 5. James Bumey and Ed May, another team that only came about this afternoon, leading in GT4. And they're a good 40 seconds clear of Peter Mackay and Ryan Parkins, one of the favourites in GT4 for this event. Flying Gizzard. Oliver Carwadine and Orberus Racing are about 45 seconds back from them in 3rd position. Then we have James Cummings and Angus Cummings in Backwoods Racing. And then they've got a couple of laps over Paul Stout and Charlie Stout in the in-cam racing car that round out the top 5 in GT4. The rest of the runners are João Estevez and Fausto Pinto in the Scalant Pro driving car. Russell Clark and Stuart Clark in Rusty's Roasts Racing. And then Andrew Marston and Paul Goffin in the Sim Racing Magazine GT3 car. Still going after a number of pit stops and quite a lot of damage so far. But hats off to the guys for carrying on. Shout out as well to Jack Wells for Beast Racing. He's not in the race anymore, unfortunately, after his teammate didn't show up and wouldn't be basically a fair balance of laps. So he would have been disqualified come the end. And Peter Sikdar, who we didn't get to see out on track, unfortunately, his teammate in this race, Paul Stewart Walton, pushing a little bit too hard and having a number of accidents in his opening stint and putting the car out of the race. Russell Clark has had a big issue here, I'm afraid. Out of the final corner. Oh, he's been clipped again. The car's gone into the pit wall. And then back into the middle of the road, and I believe he drives into the pits. He's probably having the debate there. Do we go in the pits? Do we not? Oh, no. Oh, Russell. What on earth happened there? They reversed it slightly and it just went over. Jack Nitterback has had a bit of an off. Whoa, all over the grass there. Now I want to see who was to blame for Russell going backwards. It was Oh, a little bit of a tap by John Roberts. But Russell got so unlucky with the car flipping over in that way, didn't he? I've never seen it go quite like that before. So just over 10 minutes left and still no daylight. Ride on board with Andy Marston. 6th place in the GT3 class at the moment. Rich saying, what a sim. Yeah, I know. Sometimes the barrier in physics calculations make you wonder, don't they? That pair of headlights there is James Bumy in the Fury Simsport GT4 car, sharing with his teammate Ed May. They might have to still do a splash and dash at the end here, you know, because they last pitted on lap 87. There's a few other cars that haven't pitted actually for a long time yet. Lap 82 for James Cummings and Paul Stout. And I say that, James Cummings has just nipped into the pits now and he's got a car behind him, or in front of him. That's Russell Clark coming back in once again. He's probably got a drive through for incident points after that off before. I think Russell's going to carry on all the way through. He is. So yeah, drive-through penalty. Christian Zaruta is just on his way out of the pits as well. After what seemed to be a scheduled stop, 17 seconds they were stationary for, so that's their splash and dash to the end. We now have 10 minutes of this race left to go. We'll have a look at the daylight situation. Doesn't seem to be getting any brighter, does it? You can see flashing lights there from somebody down at turn 1. And that may be James Cummings getting flashed by another GT4 car. Trying to figure out which one of them that is just behind there. It's Peter Mackay in the Flying Gizzard car. Currently second in their class, but a while down on the Fury Simsport machine. Fury Simsport have just been fantastic in this one. Not sure if they've been helped by the fact that their earlier stop for a fast repair has helped them not need a splash and dash at the end, but there's still 10 minutes to go. Or 9 minutes to go anyway. Azor. Russell Clark has a bit of a moment down at turn 1, but manages to save it. Nicely done. Nicely held. Continues on. Personal best sector 2 by Jack Werrell on this lap. Jack is pushing hard now towards the end of the race. Half a minute down on the race leaders, but they are not backing down at all. Let's have a look at that lap time by Jack of 47.40. That's only half a second off the fastest lap of the race that car has done. So they are really flying. However, the car ahead of them, race leader, 47.25. So still quicker on that previous lap with Jack Nitterback. And Jack is just on a mission. It's Jack and Jack at the very front of the field. But this car has just been supreme so far, hasn't it? The number 21 machine. Ride on board with them for a moment. Give them the airtime because in a lot of ways no news has been good news for them up to this point. Oh, that was lively there. It's amazing when the front end takes off that much over the crest of the hill. You wouldn't expect it would do it to that extent, but honestly, when people told me that the GT3 cars are taking off over the uphill, I didn't believe them. And then I saw it with my own 2 eyes when we got into practice, and it was quite remarkable. Well, I apologise that so much of this race has been, or at least the race is going so late into its sort of time to run in the complete darkness here at Lime Rock. I have to say that the sim has completely done me over. As whoa, off the road there, that was Tim Perry. Tim Perry at the side of the road. Look what's happened here. Oh, whoa. That was very hard to judge there because the headlights suddenly just went one way then the other. Let's go on board with him. Oh, the back end's already gone around and then it compresses halfway up the hill. And spins, does a nice 360. Doesn't hit anything. And then rejoins on the right-hand side of the road nice and safely. And carries on. We've got 9 seconds between João Esteves and Charlie Stout. The Scalant Pro Driving car has moved up into 5th position in class now. So they're on for a top 5 if they stay where they are. They just need to maintain that gap to in-cam racing behind. We know that Charlie Stout can be very quick. Well, I'm not sure he's going to take 9.5 seconds out of them and overtake them in the time that we've got left in this race. Ed May saying there's a small bit of light now, and I thought you could just see a bit when we go up over the crest here. Watch the sky at the very top of the shot. It's starting to go sort of grey and red-ish. And hopefully in the last few minutes, if you consider this, in the last 5 minutes of the race, in the sim, 40 minutes will pass, so hopefully we get that sunrise. Any word, please, Ed, on what time it is in sim right now? I imagine it's probably about 4:45, maybe 4:30. Actually, no, it'd be a bit earlier than that, wouldn't it? Maybe about just before 4 o'clock. Anyway, James Bumy, Ed's teammate, still at the very front of the GT4 category. They have been for a long time now. It's very, very impressive. And 4:45, so first time round I did get the guess right. I'm quite pleased with that. As wow in the background there, that was Jack Werrell almost taking off completely. That's one of the biggest clearances we've seen. That was a massive takeoff there by Jack Werrell, but look how hard he's pushing. He's absolutely wringing the neck of this thing. Now we can see daylight. Look how much difference one lap makes around here. All of a sudden, the daylight is starting to appear here at Lime Rock Park. Literally 1, maybe 2 laps later. I suppose that's 15 minutes. That's the number 8 car just in front there of João Esteves. And we are into the last 5 minutes of the race here at Lime Rock Park. And still, it is Jack Nitterback and FTR Esports that lead the way. What an amazing job they've done. Now, we had a guess earlier for how many laps. And I think it was Jakub Szymanski, 139 laps he guessed. It's only going to be a few over that, to be fair. I forgot to even get that game started, to be honest with you. There you can see a bit of daylight now. So in the 4 minutes we've got left, we're going to get about half an hour's difference. So we may just about get daylight by the time this race finishes. Again, I apologise because I really wanted to have these wonderful golden morning conditions. We should have been about 2 hours ahead of this. We should have had daylight a long time before this. But these things happen sometimes. You can't always plan for it. But Jack Nitterback now making his way through some more traffic. We'll be happy to see the daylight coming over the hill, I'm sure. Look at that. Look at the speed difference there over Charlie Stout in the in-cam racing GT4 car. Moves over to the left-hand side very quickly. And the American on home soil as well at an American circuit. Certainly on his way to take a very impressive victory here. We've not had an FTR Esports car in any events before with Sim Racing Magazine. But they've been a very welcome addition to the grid. Good characters. And certainly very, very fast. You can certainly see a lot more of a glow coming over the top of the cars now. Jack Werrell still pushing in the CCK machine. Very shiny CCK car. And Peter Mackay, well, a minute down on James Bumy at the moment. I don't really know how James is doing it, to be honest with you. He's just absolutely flying, but Peter and his teammate Ryan Parkins have been solid throughout this one. Even throughout all the traffic and getting lapped by GT3 cars. You know, they've never been a nuisance. They've never had any major issues. But now that the sun is coming up at Lime Rock, the sun is effectively setting on the race. Jack Nitterback is about a quarter of a way around their 146th lap of the race. Here he is. He's got the GT4 class leader in front of him as well. Not that that makes any difference to them. It's just another car to lap. in their eyes. And in James Bumi's eyes as well, it's just another car lapping them. Show you how the field is spread out one more time before we get into the final couple of laps here at Lime Rock. Race leader will now start the penultimate lap of the race with 1 minute and 15 seconds or so left to go. And it's nice that it's got this much lighter this quickly, isn't it, actually? I know I've gone on and on about it, but, you know, it makes a difference to be able to see the cars. It's great that iRacing is so realistic these days in terms of how dark it gets at night time. Because it used to be horrendous where the cars used to glow in the dark effectively. But it's a shame that a miscalculation has meant that so much of the race has been at night. So, let's do it, shall we? Let's ride on board with Jack Nitterback and the FTR Esports car for the final lap of the race here at Lime Rock Park in this special event. Rock around a bit of the clock at Lime Rock. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope the drivers and teams have all enjoyed it as well. Thanks once again to Porsche Centre Chester for being the sponsor for this event. Don't forget to like the video, like the page, follow on Twitch, do all of that wonderful good stuff. And hopefully more events like this will come your way in future. And hopefully more teams like FTR Esports will join us as well, because they have been phenomenal so far. It was an amazing, amazing opening stint by Richard Cawthraw. He was solid in qualifying, solid at the start of the race, and his teammate has been solid since then. Jack Nitterback and FTR Esports win at Lime Rock Park in the third special event by Sim Racing Magazine and Chaz Draycott Media. And it was an amazing effort by that team. Top marks. Beautifully done by those guys. And around the final corner to win the GT4 class, it's Fury Simsport. James Bumi and Ed May take the victory in their class. Well done, guys. James Cummings finishes in 4th place in his class. João Estevez is next up. Peter Mackay and Ryan Parkins for Flying Gizzard finish in 2nd place in their class. Second outright is going to go the way of Jack Werrell and Oliver Ettridge in CCK. Christian Zaruta and Stephen Kershaw take 3rd place for Night and Day Racing, and 3rd in the GT4 class goes the way of Oliver Carwadine and Rob Sharp. And your podium finishes complete the order here at Lime Rock Park. Well, that was certainly entertaining stuff. 4th place for Boosted Simsport, 5th for Boosted Motorsport. Andrew Marston and Paul Goffin as well, the SRM racing team, complete the race, but what an amazing performance that was. I've used the word amazing a lot to describe Jack Nitterback and his teammate, but top-notch, absolutely top-notch stuff. So, the sun rises here at Lime Rock Park. And as I said before, the sun sets on the race. Let's have a look at the results per class, shall we? We'll go through them bit by bit. The GT3 class then is won by FTR Esports. They win the race by about 35 seconds and over 2 laps clear of anybody else. Night and Day Racing get 3rd place after a really tough effort and some spins and other incidents early on. Boosted Simsport, well, what a recovery that was. Amazing stuff to finish in 4th place ahead of Boosted Motorsport, who were the last finisher in GT3 that were sort of ahead of the GT4s anyway, because apologies, SRM Racing Team, 25 laps down. They had a few incidents, but they still fought on to the end. That is what the spirit of it is all like, you know, that's what we want. That's the whole point of these events, to enjoy it and get the most out of it, and they did just that. Beast Racing, unfortunately, Jack Wells was alone in that car today, so would have been disqualified at the end anyway, but he still put in a full stint, and a mighty good one at that. So hats off to Jack. Thank you very much for your efforts, Jack. It's good to see a Beast Racing car back on my screens again as well. It's a team I used to race for, actually, a few years ago. RD Simsport, unfortunately, out early on in the first stint of the race after a bunch of incidents, but still, it was very exciting to watch all the same, so thank you for the entertainment, boys. GT4 class goes the way of Fury Simsport. By the end, they were over a lap clear of anybody else. That is an incredible, incredible effort, that. Flying Gizzard finish in 2nd place, 1 lap down, but clear Arborist Racing for 3rd place. Those are your podium finishes. Backwoods Racing certainly had the pace and the ability to win that race, but just the odd incident here or there held them back, and they finished in 4th. Scalent Pro Driving finished the top 5 ahead of In-Cam Racing. Rusty's Roast Racing finished 8 laps down, but we got all of our finishes in the GT4 class by the time the race was done. So we're going to go a long, long way back now. This replay is going to take its time, trust me. And this is how the race started, as all of the lighting sort of refigures itself. We're going to have a chat with some drivers. We'll drag some guys in, and we're going to speak to the men that maybe didn't expect to finish in second place in this race, but after being a last-minute entrant together, Jack Werrell and Oliver Ettridge join me in the box. Boys, how are we doing?
Better than we were 2 hours ago.
Yeah, that's come as a bit of a surprise.
Well, you both had the pace. I mean, Oliver, early on, you had the first stint. What did you expect in terms of traffic and negotiating other cars when it came to the opening few laps? Did you think it was going to be a massive nightmare, or did the sort of size of the field give you a bit of confidence that it was going to be clean?
I didn't really know what to expect, to be honest. I figured out about lap 1 that I probably should have done an AI race to figure out what the pace difference was like, but thankfully everyone was respectful with sort of letting us through, and the GT3s were sort of respectful with not forcing any moves, and never really had any issues with GT4s throughout the whole race.
Well, it certainly looked like quite the laugh, to be honest. Jack, we went on board with you during the little commentary break in the middle, and I mean, as Oliver's pointed out there, the traffic didn't seem to be that much of a massive issue. You just had to display patience, didn't you?
Yeah, it's a mix of patience and confidence, and fair play to all the GT4 lot. We didn't really have an issue. It was just, as long as they stuck to their line and we were patient as well, making sure we weren't doing anything silly, whether it be the start-finish straight, the sort of little back straight after the Porsche Space program halfway around, or a little bit before that. It was, it was all good. So hats off to the GT4 guys and the GT3 drivers just for being patient and making sure there wasn't too much that was going on that really warranted anything sort of stewards-wise. It was all good.
And was there any point of the circuit, Oliver, that you really enjoyed over anything else? I mean, as Jack called it, the space program on the back straight seemed quite interesting.
Yeah, the hill was challenging. It was sort of, if you hit the curb on the inside, you bounce out wide. If you are not close enough to the apex, you bounce out wide and are on the grass. It was a real challenge, but ever so rewarding when you just nail it. And then the other thing, if you're directly behind a GT4, you go up on 2 wheels, you can't see where they are. Are you going to land on top of them? If they move to the side, you just don't know.
Well, I mentioned earlier that Jack and I were playing a bit of Wreckfest earlier today, so that was probably a bit of practice for that sort of scenario, to be honest with you. But honestly, boys, that was a fantastic performance. Second place is certainly, I mean, it's not a points meet prizes situation, but still great pride, I imagine, in teaming up so last minute and getting the most out of it. Do you want to give anyone a quick shout out while we've got you?
Oliver, go for it. I know you've got one.
Just thank you to yourself and all at SRM for putting this great race on. And cheers to my Risky Racing teammates, who none of which turned up to support me.
Jack, anyone from you?
Just everyone at SRM, all the drivers and admins and everybody that put this together. Of course, Porsche Centre Chester for sponsoring it, and yourself, obviously, for dragging me into the booth and putting up with me for 2 minutes and all the work you put in the background.
Thank you very much, boys. Well done. Fantastic night's work, that, and I'm really glad you enjoyed it, and hopefully if we do another one, we'll see you together again soon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
There we go then. Your second place finishes in that race, CCK Motorsport, Oliver Ettridge and Jack Werrell. Now, 2 guys that we also need to speak to were in the GT4 class, and despite having a bit of drama early on in that race, they managed to still come away with the outright victory. Ed May and James Bumy, I hope I'm saying that right, join me in the box. Boys, you must be over the moon with that, because, like I say, early dramas, but still you managed to get it done.
Yeah. I think in terms of the early dramas, I think James has to take the floor on that one. So I'm going to stick you in it, and you've got to answer that one, mate.
Yeah, I may have been a bit too aggressive over the crest. I think I went a bit wide, and I was trying to recover it, and then I just sort of forgot how sort of physics work for about 0.4 of a second, which is bad because I'm an engineer myself. So.
Well, it's easy to do, mate. In the heat of the moment, in all of the excitement, when you think, oh, there's a hill, I could maybe get a bit of air here, you forget about the bigger picture. But still, you made it exciting with that, and I mean, the pace was excellent. Ed, was there a particular secret around here that you thought was like I don't know, like a magical little secret that you could get more pace out of the car, or was it just a bit of tidiness everywhere?
Not really. You just have to be quite sensible, and a lot of it was just down to traffic management, especially with sort of how tight and twisty and difficult this circuit is for everyone, not just the GT4s. You have to be mindful of where the GT3s are going to struggle, and you can sort of almost help each other lose as least amount of time as possible. And that was what I think really helped us and helped me as well, because I was able to gain on Ryan Parkins, and he's no slouch. He's rapid, but I just think it was down to the traffic management that was the big difference maker. And of course, James's rapid pace coming back from his early mistake. I was going to use a different word, but a mistake into at the beginning to bring down what was, I think, a 30-second gap to leaders down to about 15 seconds. That was brilliant from him.
Well, it certainly it looked enjoyable. I mean, that's the thing, James. You know, when you've got a hell of a slog like that to try and get a gap back, were you still enjoying yourself out there?
Oh, I was actually. I mean, I must admit, the GT4 combo and I think the combination today with the GT4s and Line Rock, it's a really fun combination. I think there's obviously the Porsche's GT4 itself is quite a bouncy car, and like with these curves around here, it's quite fun trying to sort of go into the corners, hit the curb, and then the whole car's like bouncing. You have no idea what's going to happen next. And I felt the car felt really good today. Ed provided the setup. We altered it slightly, but it just was just a very good setup, I think. But the combination and it was just a very, very fun combination, pretty much.
Well, I'm sure you'll both be leaving with smiles on your faces tonight, boys. Very well done on the class victory. It was epic to watch. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, starting with you, Ed?
Obviously, James, it was great. He was very last minute. I put a message into pretty much all of the Discords I'm a part of. You know me. You know how it is, Chaz. As a commentator, you can get about a fair bit. And put a message out across the airwaves. And James popped up, and I thought, well, he's blooming rapid. He's quick in everything he drove. And it's been a while, so I thought, let's get back together and see how it worked. And it was absolutely brilliant. So big thanks to James.
And James, anybody from you to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just wanted to give a quick shout out to Ed, actually. Just thanks for giving me the opportunity, I guess. Genuinely, because I haven't done GT4 racing in a while, and it was nice to have a really lovely 2 hours, I guess you could say, as well. Sorry for making it a bit stressful, but honestly, thanks, Ed.
And of course, I forgot to, thank you, Chaz, as the broadcaster, and Andy as well for SRM. I've been trying to lure James into season 2 of the SRM GT4.
I was going to ask.
So we'll see. He's been tentatively quite excited about it, so we'll see. Don't know what car he's going to get in yet. I'll tell him that he should drive the Aston because it's the best, the prettiest car, but he'll do what he wants, I'm sure.
Well, the Aston seems quite strong. It's a strong contender, the car I want to go in. I was thinking, I personally quite like the McLaren, actually.
Okay, that's acceptable. We'll allow that.
Acceptable.
We'll allow that.
Well, either way, boys, we hope you make a decision at some point, and we look forward to seeing you on our screens again soon. But thanks for jumping in. Well done on the win, and we'll speak to you again soon.
Cheers, bud.
Cool. See ya. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry, I cut James off for a moment there, but he was saying thank you, I'm sure. Well, that was absolutely awesome to speak to our 2 winners in the GT4 class, and now we move to the very front of the field and speak to our winners in the GT3 class. Jack Nittabach, who I'm really hoping I'm pronouncing his name right, and Rich Cawthraw joining him as well. Guys, you were untouchable in that race. Was there any secret to that, or was that just keeping it tidy like Ed and James just did?
I don't think there's any secret. I just we changed our setup at the last minute and defaulted to the just to fix up the sprint one, using the fixed Series 9 racing, and it was very safe. So I think that kind of got us from flag to flag safely. So maybe that was the secret in the end.
And Jack, we were on board with a number of your moments through the traffic, and cutting through it in complete darkness, because pretty much your whole stint was in pitch black darkness. What was the pressure like there, having to get through some of the slower cars?
It was tricky, because there was 2 corners where it was pretty easy to make passes, but, we're dealing with humans and not everyone's taking the same lines. Some guys might give you a little lift, some might not. So just trying to time it right was definitely tricky, and you can't see any brake markers out here at night, so you're going just off of feel and muscle memory. So, if you're slowing down for someone else and you go to turn in, you might notice you turned in way too early or way too late. So it was definitely a challenge at night.
And talk to us about what Jack Werrell dubbed as the Porsche Space Program on the back straight, Rich, because every single lap the front end just wanted to completely throw you into the trees.
Yeah, it was a bit unpredictable. It kind of got a bit of a handle on it towards the end. You just had to be a bit more conservative with it. But it was sometimes it was a bit iffy. Sometimes you'd land on the left side, sometimes in the middle of the track, and also that happened, I think, a bit to the Caymans as well. So sometimes when you're trying to pass them, they would suddenly find themselves in the middle of the track and stuff. So it was interesting. Yeah, it was good fun.
Well, it certainly looked that way, and obviously it was great to have you on the grid. We hadn't had an FTR esports car on our grids before, so it was interesting to always see a new team name pop up, and you think, I wonder how they'll get on. And then when you go and win the thing, it's very exciting to watch. Jack, do you reckon we could expect to see you back in future events if we do more like this?
Yeah, I definitely had a good time. I mostly drive GT3, so as long as that class is an option, looking forward to running some more of these guys with you.
Well, that would be absolutely mega. Well, it's time to wrap things up almost, boys. But is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to while we've got you?
Just to our teammates at FTR Esports. I think a few of them watched, so hello to all of them.
And anyone from you, Jack?
Everyone watching. Yeah, just everyone watching. Thanks for watching. Hope it was exciting.
Lovely stuff. Well, thank you very much for joining us, guys. That was a fantastic performance. And again, we hope to see you again on our screens very soon. Thank you once more.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you, Chaz. Bye.
Cheers. Very deserving winners there. And, well, I hate to sound biased, but I think in terms of interviews, we always have to save the very best till last. We speak now to the drivers that finished second in the GT4 class in that one. Flying Gizzard, my favourite team name on the grid, I have to say. Peter, Ryan, you must be pretty pleased with second place after that, because there were moments in that where you looked like you'd be right in the thick of the drama, but somehow survived it.
What drama? We just chilled out. We just hit every apex, pushed people out the way to it, we had a great time. We didn't make a single mistake.
Our Flying Gizzard was never a little bit out of shape.
That was one thing I was gonna say. It was probably out of all of them at the end, that car probably had the least amount of marks and scrapes on it out of all of them, because it just looked completely spotless at the end. What was your secret?
Ryan did more driving than me.
I was hoping you put it down to something else. I don't know, but
although I did more driving than Ed May, though, he absolutely sandbagged his way through to just sneak through the minimum drive time.
Oh god, I didn't even think about that, because I noticed there were some drivers and teams, where there was a little bit of an imbalance, but a lot of them did just change at the halfway point. Was there a sort of plan in place for you guys to do that, or was it just a case of you do one stint, I'll do the next, and that's it?
We literally, Peter messaged me saying, should we do it? Sure. Great, and we just turned up, pretty much.
Yeah, but that's what I love, though. That's what I love, though. There were some teams tonight. Ed May and James, they, I think, signed up 5 minutes before the cut-off point, and that was an hour and a half before the session went live, and then they went and won.
They practiced a month before, though. I heard that they pulled Harmit Kristen out of retirement to get the setup just right, and they've got Visak on the end of the phone. I've heard.
Well, insider knowledge counts a lot, you see, Peter. I didn't know that. But either way, though, boys, have you enjoyed it tonight? It looked like a lot of fun out there.
Oh, it was amazing. The best part was when Peter held off a GT3 for 2 laps. That was great.
that was anxiety driven. That was yes. We actually are. You know how we're going to we're actually going to do our own team merch.
Right.
So that we're actually going to have Flying Gizzard pants, because you can get themed socks, like you can get Pink Pig socks. We're gonna have Flying Gizzard pants. Coming out soon, available on chazdrakeupmedia.com.
Well, you can sign me up for a pair for free then as a bit of endorsement.
Yeah, they're in the post.
Well, either way, boys, second place tonight.
What size would you like? What size would you like for your Flying Gizzard?
Oh, how do you say fat? I can't even say it on air. But big gizzard size. There you go. Fat gizzard.
Big gizzard. Big gizzard. Lads.
Oh god, what has this turned into? Second place, though. You must be pretty pleased with that. I know it's just bragging rights this evening, but
we've actually. I hadn't had the sim out for a couple of months. I don't think Ryan had either, and we were quite happy. Our little Cayman kept us in check.
Yeah, we had a great time. We was laughing all the way through. There was moments we was laughing so hard. My VR speed up.
A lap.
Yeah, it was.
I was laughing so much that I'd given away a couple of times, but I couldn't help myself.
Well, that's the thing.
At one point, I thought we had damage at the front of the car, and then I said for Peter to check it, I'd have to go past the pit straight. And then we just got overtaken by James Cummings on the straight. He must have thought we were right mugs.
Oh god!
But I tell you what, though, did you manage to sneak it into the commentary that it's like, I've just been flashed by Flying Gizzard.
I did say at one point
I've
that
been flashed by Flying Gizzard.
Yeah, that was. I think that was a slip of the tongue, genuinely, on that one. But yeah, still, it was great entertainment from you, though, guys. And you were right up there at the sharp end all throughout. Cars swapping places all around you, and that's exactly what we expected, and I'm sure what you enjoyed. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout out to while we've got you before we wrap it all up?
Yes, I'd like to go and thank Veronica, my Italian tutor, and I think Peter, I would like to thank his Spanish teacher.
Lucia. Yes, I'd like to thank my Spanish teacher, Lucia. We had an excellent lesson earlier on. What did we learn? I can't remember now. She's obviously good, because what did we do? Me gusta Lime Rock Park. Means I like Lime Rock Park.
Mi piace Lime Rock Park.
Me encanta el Rey Hippopotamus. I love the King Hippo.
Sì, e tu, italiano. Did you know, if you go and spell out socks in English,
calcetines,
you actually say it is what it is in Spanish. Perfectly.
Right.
So S-O-C-K-S, socks.
Muy bien, señor Hippopotamus.
Sí. Grazie mille.
I
hope somebody. I sincerely hope nobody's just tuned in now.
Look at it. Well, maybe, I don't know.
We're actually going to start up our own Margarita and Paella League soon. If you want to come and join in.
Yes.
I'm there.
Yes.
On a final note, though, boys, any more thanks you want to give before I throw you back into the rest of them?
Well, I just think, actually, I think we'd like a bit of a better BOP. I think the other cars definitely had a BOP advantage over us, so I think a little bit of a BOP break for next time would be nice.
I'll speak to Andy about it, boys.
That's right, yeah.
Honestly, thank you so much, though, boys. It's always entertaining to speak to you, and always good to see you out on track, and hopefully we'll see you again soon, yeah?
Thank you, Chaz.
Cheers, Chaz.
Cheers, boys. Oh, flipping heck. Well, I knew it was going to be entertaining, but I don't even know where to go with that. So, a quick recap then. Rich Cawthraw and his teammate Jack Nitterback take the win for FTR Esports. James Bumey and Ed May take the win in GT4 for Fury Simsport. It's been an absolute joy tonight. Plenty of fun here in Rock around a bit of the clock at Lime Rock Park. I've been Chaz Draycott. This has been Sim Racing Magazine and Chaz Draycott Media, sponsored by Porsche Sports and... Sorry, not Porsche. This is what happens when I'm looking at their info and saying too much about Porsche Sport. Sponsored by Porsche Centre Chester. Thank you very much to Porsche Centre Chester and, of course, Carl Hazelton as well. Always a pleasure, and it's always a pleasure to broadcast for you, everybody. But that's all from me for now. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. And, of course, for Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge Season 2. Keep your eye out on chazdraycott.com and the Sim Racing Magazine Discord for more information on that. For now, have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I'll see you again soon.
opportunistic, still rubbing panels as they go together. It's folded the wing mirror in on Gerardo's car.
Misano is such a difficult circuit for these guys to get right. There's a lot of start-stop sections around the back. It's a very, very quick section as well.
It's a fantastic start from the 23. They're 4 wide there by the look of it.